You're looking at the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. How low will stocks go with troubling economic news, anemic growth, and rising unemployment? All eyes are on Wall Street today, Monday, September the 10th, 2001.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And welcome to Today on this Monday morning, everyone. I'm Katie Couric.
And I'm Matt Lauer. You talked about anemic growth. It's at its lowest level in 8 years. So
I know. Ouch. A lot of people are nervous and worried. Both the Dow and the NASDAQ are near their lows for the year now, and Wall Street has the jitters. The numbers have gotten Washington's attention, too, with Democrats and Republicans gearing up for a fight over how to shore up the economy. We're going to find out what to expect in the short term from CNBC's Ron Insana and talk to a well-known bull and bear for the long-term view. And there's at least one storm it appears the U.S. will avoid. Hurricane Aaron brushed by Bermuda over the weekend and is now nearly 200 miles north, heading out to sea, posing no threat to the United States. Matt?
Also over the weekend, an historic flight for the plane that served 7 presidents is Air Force One. The 707, used mostly by President Reagan, will become an exhibit at the Ronald Reagan Library. And Mrs. Reagan took a look around after it landed in California and had a chance to greet some old friends. We'll get more on the retirement of Air Force One in our first half hour. And then speaking of presidents, we'll get an inside look at the Florida recount from this past year and what really went on at the Supreme Court.
Then the U.S. Open. I was there on Saturday night watching
it?
Venus and Serena play. They are so amazing, both of them. And we're going to be talking with Venus.
Venus will be here. The
champion, in our second half hour. We're going to let you know how to find out if your kids are the next Venus and Serena. But first, let's get the latest overnight news from Ann Curry over the news desk. Ann, good morning.
Good morning, Katie and Matt. Good morning, everybody. In the news this morning, a gun battle erupted early this morning between police and a heavily armed man suspected of killing 5 people over the weekend in Sacramento. When it was all over, the gunman had also killed himself. NBC's Chip Reid is in Sacramento this morning with details on the story. Chip, good morning.
Good morning, Ann. There is a powerful sense of relief in Sacramento this morning. This is a city that has been on edge. This is the second mass murder here in less than 3 weeks. In Sacramento, the search for gunman Joseph Ferguson is over.
Thank God it's over with.
The 20-year-old who police say killed at least 5 people during a bloody weekend rampage died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
This guy's a nut. He was bent on killing more people. And thank God that we were able to stop him.
The shooting spree began Saturday night. Police were called to this location after reports of gunfire.
I heard some gunshots, and after that burst of 5 or 6, I heard a lady scream.
Here, police made a gruesome discovery, the bullet-riddled bodies of 2 security officers. Among the victims, Ferguson's ex-girlfriend. Police say he had been despondent following their breakup. A short time later, more gunfire was reported across town. Authorities found 2 more shooting victims, one of them also a security guard. Late Sunday night, Ferguson claimed a 5th victim, the man also a security officer. Police say the slain guards worked with Ferguson at Burns Security.
There's nothing that I can say that would express the profound condolences that I have for the families of these security officers.
For the community of Sacramento, the weekend shooting spree was a terrifying reminder. Just 3 weeks ago, Ukrainian immigrant Nikolai Soltis allegedly killed his pregnant wife and 5 others. Police say Ferguson even referred to that case, telling former co-workers, quote, "I'm gonna outdo Soltis." In fact, police say Ferguson told those former co-workers that after he finished killing people he knew, he was going to go out and kill people at random at movie theaters and nightclubs. Fortunately, police caught up with him before he could act on those threats. Ann?
NBC's Chip Reid. Chip, thank you this morning. In other news this morning, overseas markets were down during the night. Prices were off 3% in Tokyo and were also down in early trading in London. And this after the Dow dropped 235 points to a 5-month low on Friday. We're going to have more on the market and the economy in just a few moments. President Bush, meantime, is trying to get the sputtering economy moving again, but top Democrats say the downturn is the president's fault. NBC's David Gregory is at the White House with more on this story. David, good morning to you.
Good morning to you. And the president and his aides are now consumed with avoiding the political damage of a prolonged economic downturn, and advisors say this week the president will step up his efforts to reassure the public that he has a plan to turn things around. The president attended church Sunday even as top Democrats kept up the attack. declaring it's the president's fault the economy has slid into a near recession.
We're in a real financial situation right now, in large measure because of his deficit and because of his tax cut.
The economy has now intensified the fight over the administration's budget. Officials telling Republican leaders the budget is expected to dip into the Social Security surplus, something Bush promised he would never do. As a result, aides say the president may decide this week to back an across-the-board spending cut that could affect the president's priority programs like education and a national missile defense shield. Republican defenders of the president, using a White House tactic, blame the previous administration for the current downturn.
This president, new president, came in with an economy that was clearly already declining. It's been underway for 13 or 14 months.
Here we go.
But Mr. Bush, who performed the coin toss on the opening day of the NFL, knows the economy is now his political responsibility. Aides say the president will step up his efforts to publicly remind the country he's aware many people are hurting, even as he clings to the belief his tax cut will stimulate the economy back to recovery. Above all, White House advisors want Bush to appear completely in touch with the country's economic woes to avoid the perception of disengagement that undermined his father during the last recession. But beyond simple appearances, the administration is searching for ways to jumpstart the economy. Aides saying the president may back a cut in the capital gains tax. However, top officials here are divided on that point, many close to the president wanting to wait to see the effects of the current tax cut first. Ann?
NBC's David Gregory. David, thank you this morning. A preliminary report is in on last month's plane crash that killed R&B singer Aaliyah and 8 other people. The National Transportation Safety Board found that the plane was substantially overloaded when it took off from the Bahamas. The report said the weight of the luggage, fuel, and passengers exceeded the maximum weight allowable for the twin-engine Cessna. No mechanical problems were found. The Los Angeles area was shaken Sunday by a moderate earthquake. It had a magnitude of 4.2 and was centered near West Hollywood. There was some damage to an apartment complex, but no reports of any injuries. And Barry Bonds is closing in on Mark McGwire's single-season home run record. On Sunday, the San Francisco Giants slugger hit 3 home runs, his 61st, 62nd, and 63rd of the season. He needs just 8 more home runs to beat Mark McGwire's record, and there are 18 games left in the season. It is now 7:07, so I'll turn back to Matt. Katie now.
I think he could do it.
He's very happy.
Looking pretty good. Anyway, Ann, thank you very much.
Meanwhile, Mr. Roker, how was your weekend, first
of all? It was
all?
lovely. Everybody here in the Northeast, gorgeous.
Wow,
wasn't
beautiful.
it?
Couldn't ask for a better one. And we've got a fairly quiet day across the country today. We do have some scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially down in Florida today and along the East Coast with a cold front moving into some warm, humid air. We've got sunshine, 81 degrees in Portland today, 78 chance of a hit-or-miss thunderstorm later on in Los Angeles. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Well, it feels like a summer morning this Monday morning in Washington. I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. We've got 74 degrees here at NBC4, and it is steamy humid. And there's a chance of some thunder showers later on this afternoon. Grab the umbrella before you head out the door. Highs today in the mid-80s and partly sunny before our chance of thunder showers between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Then some cooler, drier, more beautiful autumnal weather coming in for tomorrow near 80, Wednesday, Thursday, and into the weekend. Highs in the 70s, morning lows in the 50s.
That's your latest weather. Now back to Matt.
All right, Al, thank you very much. On Close Up this morning, will the economy get worse before it gets better? With growth nearly at a standstill, unemployment rising, and financial markets close to their March and April lows, is there any hope for a turnaround? Ron Insana covers the markets for CNBC. Ron, great to have you back.
Thanks, Matt.
A lot of people want to keep the covers over their head this morning, should they?
Well, it's going to be a bumpy ride this week. It seems fairly obvious to say, because after last week's decline in the Dow, in fact, it's a bad 10-day period, the worst 10 days for the market so far this year, and the overnight losses overseas, it looks like we're going to open on a sour note this morning.
Dow last week down more than 200 points, NASDAQ down about 20 points. What was driving those numbers?
Well, certainly the notion that the economic recovery is now going to be put off, maybe even beyond the fourth quarter of this year. The unemployment report was bad. We had some other economic indicators that were disappointing, and so the stock market's worried that we won't see any turn in the economy and no turn in corporate profits.
We always talk about a bottom, finding a bottom. What are the signs? How do you except for the fact that you come on and say, okay, we're at the bottom, I mean, what are the signs leading up to a bottom that give us a clear indication?
Well, normally for there to be a true bottom in the stock market, you need a panicky moment where things do seem fairly scary, the market goes down rather sharply, and then reverses reverses course on very heavy volume, even record volume at the New York Stock Exchange.
Sustained volume over a period of days
You'd
or
like
weeks?
to see it, certainly, but on a single day, you want to see the market reverse course on volume that you've never seen before. That's a classic sign of a bottom. That's something we haven't seen quite yet.
But that's a bottom and a recovery.
Yeah.
Is there any rule out there that says once we hit a bottom, we've got to bounce back?
No. No, I mean, it's been a long time since we've had an environment where the stock market doesn't recover from a classic selling climax. But given the current uncertainties, this market, some say, could go down and stay down until there are real signs of improvement in the economy.
The Federal Reserve is scheduled to meet again early October. Yep. Some people are starting to murmur about the fact they may jump in early and give us another rate cut.
Well, J.P. Morgan's economist came out and said that last week, that the Fed could cut rates before the October meeting. Two senior Fed officials last week said the Fed now has to start paying attention to the stock market, and if the weakness persists and affects the consumer, then the Fed might have to respond.
Real quickly, we heard Tom Daschle a second ago saying this is all about President Bush's deficit, his tax cut. Is that where a lot of people are pointing the finger?
No, I would say most economists think this is more about a big stock market decline, a big fall off in capital spending in the technology sector, and weakness in manufacturing. This downturn has nothing to do with the budget. In fact, tax cuts should only help. They just haven't kicked in yet.
You heard it here first. Ron and Sana, thanks very much. Okay. 11 past the hour. You can follow the markets all day long on CNBC. Here's Katie.
All right, Matt, thanks very much. With more on the market's future, two men who should know: Jeremy Siegel, a well-known bull from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, who wrote Stocks for the Long Run, and Robert Shiller of Yale University, a bear who wrote Irrational Exuberance back when the Dow was at 11,000. Professors, good morning.
Morning, Kate.
You guys are good friends. I know your families vacation together, but you couldn't have two more different perspectives when it comes to the economy. How did you develop your perspectives? Well, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I've been friends with Jeremy for 30 years, and I've learned an enormous amount from him. We were really in sync until the market, the last few years. You know, I was 100% stocks, but it just got too high for me. And I think Jeremy had some worries, too.
And what about that, Jeremy? Do you have some worries, or do you feel that the stock market is still the place to be?
Well, certainly last March I did, and I did express them very often, certainly in the technology issues. I think important is looking at the long run. Our stocks now values that investors want to hold, and it's still my belief that you're going to be better off in stocks than you are in bank accounts or bonds over the long run. So even though we're going to have I think a rocky short run over here, I still believe the stocks are going to be best in the long run.
Bob, why do you think that the decline in the stock market is so severe right now?
Well, I would say the market got too high. We were in a period of irrational exuberance, and people just thought that we're all going to be rich. They thought that this tech boom is going to go on forever. It's not true, and people are waking up to reality. That's the problem right now.
Now, after a stock market bubble bursts, what happens to the entire economy?
Well, I think that I'm sorry.
Go ahead. That's Bob's question. Hold on, Jeremy.
I think that we may be in for a recession, but we'll eventually recover, and there's no disaster for the whole economy. The problem, though, is that the stock market may not come back.
Really?
Well, I mean, we're overpriced, and we're gradually coming back to a more reasonable valuation, which you might say is a good thing. Unfortunately, it can hurt people who put too much of their portfolio in stocks. And I think Jeremy will agree with me. This is not a time to put 100% of your portfolio in stocks.
Do you agree with that, Jeremy?
Certainly short run, I agree with that. But I'm just wondering for the younger people out there, people planning for their retirement and that do have stock purchase plans, my feeling is they should continue those plans. One of the hardest things that we've learned to do is predict in the short run in the market. And even if you get out now and the market goes down 10%, if it rallies, it can go up just as fast, and you can be left behind. And I've found that the best winners in the long run are those that keep the long run focus and keep their investing plan. But certainly for the short run, if you need the money in the next few years, certainly it's risky to put in the stock market.
Jeremy, obviously there are a lot of nervous investors out there right now. If you had to recommend certain stocks or sort of a classification of stocks, what would you recommend today?
Well, I've always recommended, diversification. Those investors that get in the biggest trouble are those that try to hit the hot sectors or they hit the hot stocks. I thought the technology sector was overvalued not only last year, but But even now, the biggest disaster is in tech. The earnings have just collapsed to zero. I still think there's probably too much hope in that sector. But in the rest of the market, I still think for the long run, there's reasonable valuations there. And in fact, I think valuations that will prove profitable for investors.
And Bob, since you see the glass as half empty, what stocks do you think investors should stay away from?
Well, I think that people should stick with value stocks. But I should also say avoid stocks at this point. Avoid putting very much into them. I think people forget that bonds we have index bonds and we have tax-free municipal bonds are wonderful investments right now.
What about all the finger-pointing that's going on Capitol Hill? I know that Ron and Sana just talked about that with Matt, but is it fair for Democrats to point a finger at George W. Bush and say, hey, this is your fault because of the tax cut? Or is that not a valid criticism? And do you think the tax cut will actually be beneficial as Ron and Sana does?
I think it's unfair. Certainly the tax cut, if anything, as Ron said, is going to help. I mean, this is a long cycle that really started in the Clinton administration, and as Bob said, irrational exuberance, the idea that technology and the internet will bring out a new era, and we're suffering the reality of that right now. It's really beyond the blame of certainly the administration, and really beyond, in large part, the control of the Fed. I mean, the Fed can help, and I think the Fed should be more aggressive on interest rates, definitely more aggressive. But this is part of a natural business cycle that the U.S. has had for over 100 years, and it's part of market economies.
Bob Schiller, any advice for the president on how to deal with this situation?
Well, I think that, yeah, I agree with Jeremy on what he said now. The problem is that there isn't a whole lot that the president can do besides talk honestly and openly about the situation. And he was criticized for not being upbeat about the economy in the past. I don't think that is the source of our problem. I think it's important that he speak directly and have to admit that there isn't a whole lot he can do.
All right. Well, Robert Schiller and Jeremy Siegel. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. 7:17. Once again, here's Matt.
Katie, thank you. After 445 presidential missions and more than 1 million miles this weekend, the Air Force retired the plane that served 7 presidents as Air Force One. The plane made one last trip from Washington, D.C. to San Bernardino, California, where it was turned over to the Ronald Reagan Library. NBC's White House correspondent Campbell Brown was the only reporter aboard that historic flight.
Known by its tail number, SAM 27000, this Boeing 707 served almost 3 decades as Air Force One. Invited aboard for its last flight, the retired crew members who took care of the plane and the presidents whose presence on board gave it that special designation.
I drove all the way from southeastern North Carolina to come and be with this crew to retire this airplane today because I've been to heaven and hell on this airplane.
Flight attendant Howie Franklin, who served 5 presidents, for the first time made himself comfortable in the commander-in-chief's oversized chair. The old plane is smaller than the current Air Force One, more utilitarian than luxurious, built with tables and telephones for working aides and Secret Service. The president's quarters, a desk and pull-out couch, a communication center with the capability of getting anyone anywhere on the phone at any time. Rich Holley used to operate this massive switchboard, rounding up world leaders or more often, getting someone's parents on the phone just so they could tell mom and dad they were a passenger on Air Force One.
Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, this is the Air Force One operator. I have so-and-so on the line to speak with you. And, oh, you're kidding me. You hear all the screaming in the background. Oh, it's Joe, he's on Air Force One.
For the former crew members aboard this final flight, it's brought back a rush of memories. Many were on hand for even participants in some of history's most extraordinary moments.
I shall resign.
Like the flight that carried President Richard Nixon back to California after he resigned. The flight took off as Air Force One, but in midair, its call sign changed as President Gerald Ford was sworn in. Flight attendant Charlie Palmer says Nixon had one request.
At precisely 12 o'clock, he wanted a martini brought in. That was President Ford was being sworn in, so I mixed them up and put them on a tray.
Lee Simmons served the drinks.
So as they were broadcasting the swearing-in ceremony over the loudspeakers, him and Ron Ziegler was having a martini.
SAM 27000 has flown 7 presidents in all, more than any other presidential aircraft. The crews learned each leader's sometimes quirky preferences.
President Ford ate cottage cheese with A1 sauce.
And discovered odd similarities.
All the presidents like butter pecan ice cream, and they never told each other.
The plane was used most often by President Reagan during his 8 years in office, flying Reagan to Berlin, where he challenged the Soviet Union to tear down the wall. It's he and wife Nancy Palmer misses most.
I could not have asked to work for two better people.
Reagan would tell him, quote, "Make sure my little girl is okay." But Mrs. Reagan set the rules.
One of his favorite dishes, macaroni and cheese, but not when she's aboard.
Brings back a lot of memories.
Mrs. Reagan boarded the plane for a final look just after we landed in San Bernardino, gingerly making her way through to see a number of familiar faces, including an old friend.
Hi. How are you?
Great.
I'm glad to see you. I'm fine.
And on the ground, a welcoming ceremony as SAM 27000 becomes part of the Reagan Library. The plan to build a museum of presidential travel within the next year, where the plane will be on display for all to view this well-traveled piece of presidential history. For today, Campbell Brown, NBC News, San Bernardino, California.
It is 7:21 on a Monday morning. This is Today on NBC.
The other half on the other half.
It's not these four guys talking about intimate issues.
My wife thinks that flirting is the same thing as infidelity.
If you're truly going to be in love, you're going to have to do the work.
The other half, a different kind of talk show.
Today, cable companies like AT&T control over 70% of high-speed internet connections because they compete under different rules than phone companies. Unless Congress acts, millions will be left behind or with only one choice, their cable company. Now a study says a delay in high-speed internet rollout could cost our economy $500 billion. Toza and Dingle guarantees access to inner cities and small towns and would add billions to our economy. It's time for real competition. Pass Toza and Dingle.
Bring it in, fellas. Here we go. Come on, hustle up now. Come on. Here we go. Oh, there you go. There you go. Hit the pad. Hit the pad. There we go. There we go.
For a fast appointment with a great doctor, call 202-877-DOCS.
Why drive all over town to compare cars? Make one stop at CarMax and test drive an Accord, Taurus, and Camry.
We have nearly every make and model, 10 times more cars than the average dealer, so you get the car you want. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
Why do warehouse clubs and superstores offer the lowest prices? Because they sell in volume. CarMax, the auto superstore, has up to 10 times more cars than the average dealer, so we can afford to offer below Blue Book prices. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
Rosie's moving to a new time.
Isn't that great?
And she's a little excited.
Woo!
Everything's coming up Rosie. Weekdays at noon beginning today here on NBC4.
Thank you, everybody!
Coming up, what really went on inside the Supreme Court during the Florida recount mess.
Also, this year's U.S. Open women's champion, Venus Williams. After these messages and your local news.
Boston Market frozen meals on how to eat like a bird. A 6'9" bird. It's the pick and roll and the slam dunk. Boston Market frozen meals, all your favorites ready in your freezer. Like oven roasted chicken or thickly sliced meatloaf. Both with creamy mashed potatoes and gravy and delicious sides like mac and cheese. Whoops, it's the double dribble. Take time out with Boston Market frozen meals.
Be adventurous. Be plugged in. Be involved. Be powerful. Be yourself. Because it's your choice, your voice, and your attitude. Today's AARP.
I am a busy woman. I have 3 children and I'm married, so my time's limited. I'm a teacher and I sing with a big band. Walmart Supercenter is the place to go. I can get all my groceries, fresh produce. The meat department's great. Walmart Supercenter guarantees freshness, and that's a plus. My girls and I go up and down every aisle. We go to the electronics. We have a blast here. It's very convenient because it's a one-stop shop, and that means a lot to me because my time's valuable. I'm going to get the best prices, the best quality. Everything that I want is in this one store. I have fun here. It's just like being a kid again.
Introducing new Kellogg's Special K Red Berry cereal. Crunchy sweet flakes, now with slices of real strawberries, right in the box. Looking good, never tasted so great. Kellogg's Special K Red Berries. It's new.
Everyone's looking for that miracle cream. Mine's New Excellence Hair Color from L'Oreal. My non-drip cream just got better. Now it protects non-stop with lots of extra conditioner for beautiful color and no grays. New Excellence from L'Oreal Paris.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
Summery feeling morning outside, 75 degrees, muggy too. We'll find out about the rain that's coming when we check on our weather. It's the 10th of September, 2001. Good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara Harrison. Doctors say a Northern Virginia woman who was attacked by a shark along North Carolina's Outer Banks is improving. 23-year-old Natalia Bolina has been in critical condition at a Norfolk hospital, but she's now been upgraded to fair condition. Bolina's fiancé was killed by the shark. The couple lived in Oakton in Fairfax County. A new Washington Post poll says a majority of voters in Northern Virginia support an increase in the sales tax to raise money for local transportation and education projects. And starting today, it will cost 50 cents to make a call at a payphone in our area. Verizon says it's raising the rates because it's making less money from payphones now that so many people have cellular phones. We'll be back with a look at our weather and traffic in just a moment. Stay with us.
This News 4 Today news break sponsored by DirecTV. Get DSL internet speed from DirecTV.
Alert! You have reached the end of the internet. You have seen everything there is to see. Please go back now.
Introducing DirecTV DSL. So fast, you'll see more of the internet than ever before. Now get 3 months for $19.99 per month. Call 1-800-BEST-DSL.
I thought you were surfing the internet.
Yeah, I finished it.
Early Saturday morning, before the kids get up, it's just me, my laptop, and Strayer.
Sue Morgan, advancing her career at Strayer University, totally online.
I take all my classes online from home. I'm not saying it's easy, but by this time next year, I'll have my master's degree in business administration. And I don't have to spend time away from my family to do it.
Strayer Online. You set the goal. We'll help you get there.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. We've got a rather humid morning this Monday morning. Temperature here in Northwest is at 75 degrees with a light breeze coming in out of the south. And we are picking up a few sprinkles northern Montgomery County and some showers now in the highlands of West Virginia. We have a threat of some thunder showers this afternoon, but some cool, dry autumnal weather for the balance of the week coming in. Jerry, how's our traffic doing?
Tom, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. A little bit busy. Let's head south of town at the Wilson Bridge where there's a fender bender involving a couple of vehicles on the inner loop. It was quickly cleared, but it has left its mark. Both directions of the Wilson Bridge are slow with lanes open. And we'll check out north of town, bogged down now. The outer loop backup begins at I-95 west into Silver Spring. Barbara?
All right, thank you. We'll have all of this morning's top stories coming up for you on News 4 at 10, but we'll be back in 25 minutes with another update. We hope you're with us then.
Hi, I'm Ananda Lewis, and my first show is all about new beginnings. It's about the best moments in your life.
Will you marry me?
And making your own dreams come true on the premiere of The Ananda Lewis Show.
Today at 3 here on NBC4.
Why do the 4 giant bell phone monopolies want toes and dingles so badly? How about this? Section 4A states, neither the FCC nor any state shall have authority to regulate the rates, charges, terms, or conditions for any high-speed data service. Toes and Dingle will turn the 4 bell giants loose on America and then prohibit the FCC and all 50 states from protecting us. So, this is why our parents told us to read the fine print.
Jackson family news on Next Access Hollywood with behind the scenes of the Jackson Family Bash.
Plus, Keanu Reeves on the tragic loss of Aaliyah. Next Access Hollywood.
Tonight at 7:30 on NBC4.
We're back now at 7:30 on a Monday morning. It's the 10th day of September in the year 2001, and we've got a colorful group of people outside our studio window right here in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. These people are listening to the music of Macy Gray. That's our way of telling you that she is our headliner this coming Friday as part of our summer concert series, Live on the Plaza. Summer's almost over. The music keeps on going. Meanwhile, inside the studio,
the hits keep on coming.
Casey Kasem. I'm Matt Lauer, along with Katie Couric. Coming up in this half hour, we're going to talk to Venus Williams, the 21-year-old tennis sensation, wowed a primetime audience and beat her sister Serena to defend her U.S. Open championship over the weekend. She's going to stop by and talk about that, and we'll check out the trophy as well.
It was so sweet how she said, "I love you" to Serena as soon as it was over. You're going to have to ask them about their different grunting styles, because Serena's a real and Venus is kind of a
So prepare for that, Venus. We're going to be talking grunts here in the next half hour.
Also, we're going to get the inside story of the Florida recount from the author of a new book called The Accidental President. We'll find out what the Supreme Court justices really think of their decision to end it, what President Bush said when he finally heard the decision had come down, and other fascinating details from that 37-day odyssey. Who can forget that?
It's right, exactly. Also, we're going to tell you another story about an election that's drawing more than its share of attention. But before we get to that, we'll get a check of the weather from Mr. Roker.
Today's weather is brought to you by Skillet Sensations from Stouffer's. Nothing comes closer to home.
It is a warm, muggy morning here in the Rockefeller Plaza area, and happily married for 37 years in September and 38 years. Where are your husbands?
Home.
And that's how you stay happily married, huh?
Exactly right.
Where are you guys from?
Billings, Montana.
Well, that's how they do it in Billings, huh? All right. There you go. Well, thanks for coming down and sharing, and happy anniversary. What are your husbands' names?
Lane, Harvey.
Okay, Lane and Harvey. Let's take a look. Smart. Hey, Hurricane Aaron, 190 miles north of Bermuda, 120-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving north-northwest and expected to turn to the northeast tomorrow, away from the northeast coast. We'll have swells and surf along the eastern seaboard. Tropical depression number 7, it could become Felix, 35 miles per hour, moving west to 10, about 1,000 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. We're going to keep an eye on that one as well. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
It's a humid Monday morning. Good morning, meteorologist Tom Curine. Temperatures are in the 70s now around town, low and mid-70s. We have some showers showing up on radar. The Potomac Highlands, these are moving off to the northeast, and a few sprinkles as well showing up in southern Fairfax County as well as in northern Montgomery County. These are moving off to the northeast as well. And the greater threat for some showers and thunder, though, this afternoon between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Going to be kind of a humid day, highs in the mid-80s, but we do have some cooler, drier weather coming in for Tuesday for the balance of the week.
And we got a baby in a backpack back here. Who's that?
It's Nate.
Nate, how old's Nate?
6 months.
All right, thanks for bringing him by.
Thanks.
Big Yankees fan. All right, let's head back inside the man.
All right, Al, thank you very much. Saturday night, the Williams family got together for a little tennis under the lights. In front of a sellout crowd at Arthur Ashe Stadium, 21-year-old Venus Williams defeated her baby sister, 19-year-old Serena, for her second straight U.S. Open title. Venus Williams, good morning. Congratulations. Good morning. Well, I mean, was this easy? Can I ask you, was the whole tournament easy? I was looking back at your scores this morning of these matches. You didn't lose a set.
No, I didn't. This is my first title where I haven't lost a set. I guess it's one of my best accomplishments so far, and really one of the most exciting Grand Slams for me and for my family.
Venus, it's supposed to be hard. This is supposed to be a major event. The competition is the best in the world. You didn't lose a set. I mean, that is astonishing.
I guess I had a good week, and I played some great players, a lot of great players, and I was able to get off scot-free, so, you know, I'm pushing my luck maybe.
So much is made when you and Serena face each other in any tournament, but in particular a Grand Slam and the final of a Grand Slam. So much is made about it. Tell me about the preparation for that match in terms of the day of the match. What do you and Serena talk about? Do you bring it up? I mean, do you say, hey, here's how it could go tonight?
Well, you know what? We had defeated the number 1 and 2 players respectively to get to the final, and you know that was great enough. But then the next day we'd turn around and play the final. So it was all just such a rush and so fast that we're still kind of soaking it in and enjoying the moment and having a great time. But in the end, we both won, and we both sharing the titles. This is the third year that it's been in the Williams family.
But when you say we both won, okay, I have a sister. I love her dearly. But if it came to her standing across the net from me in a Grand Slam event, I'd want to beat her.
And that's the fact. We both want to beat each other. We both want to win. And we understand each other as competitors on court, of course. But off of the court, we both understand that it's all over. So that's where we can, draw the line.
Is 2 years a big deal at your age when it comes to a Grand Slam final? I mean, you're 21, she's 19. She seemed a little more nervous about being in this final than you did. She made a lot of unforced errors. Do you think it was an experience and age factor?
Well, when it came down to it, I think it was about who was going to serve a little better and who was going to make the least amount of mistakes. And fortunately enough, I was able to do it. But the next time around, I might not be as lucky. So Serena's going to be here talking with you.
When your match was over, you two met at the net, and we could see you said, "I love you." After the match and you're in the locker room, you shower, you go home, talk of tennis over for a little while?
No, we don't really talk about it that much. There's quite a lot of other things in life that we talk about. They're a lot more pressing.
If you're a big sister, it's your job to protect your little sister throughout your life. Would it have been a lot more rewarding for you to beat someone like Jennifer or Martina or Lindsay so that you wouldn't want to have to watch your little sister be so disappointed?
I don't think Serena was disappointed at all. I think she realized that she played her best on that day, and I think she did the best she could. And really, I was happy to meet her in the final because then we'd done all we could do, and in the end, whoever won the title was decided between us.
This was a big event, primetime TV, sold out Arthur Ashe Stadium. A lot of celebrities in attendance, all right? Robert Redford, Helen Hunt, Spike Lee. I read this morning that you were actually watching the monitor.
I was watching the monitor. I was a little bit unfocused on the changeovers.
So you would sit down, look up, and say, "There's Spike Lee"?
I did. I did. I couldn't keep my eyes off, It's a one-time occasion, and if I don't get to the primetime final next year, I'm going to say I missed my chance.
What's next for you? I mean, first of all, are you the #1 player in the world now?
No, I'm not #1 just yet.
Why not? You have more Grand Slam titles this year than anybody else, don't you?
I'm even with another player, with Jennifer Capriati, yes.
Do you think you're the #1 player? In your mind, are you the #1 player?
In my mind, I have to walk out on the court as the top competitor. If I walk out and I think the next person's better, I've already lost the first set. So in my mind, I try to be the best.
So what's your next goal?
My next goal, I guess, is #1, but I guess the next Grand Slam coming up, I've never won that one before, so that would be nice.
Well, congratulations to you. The trophy is sitting by you, and it's a beauty. And as someone who is famously fond of sleep, I thank you very much for getting up early in the morning to come see us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Venus. Congratulations. Our best to your family as well. 7:38. A little later, is your kid the next U.S. Open winner? How to spot real athletic ability in your family. Next up, one vote that could have changed the whole presidential election. Right after this.
Honey, I'm done working out.
Ooh, 5 minutes. You've beaten your own record.
What smells so good?
2 clues. It doesn't have extra cheese and a crust, and it's good for you.
No idea.
Lean Cuisine Skillet Sensations for great tasting complete meals for 2, like tender garlic chicken with rice and crisp vegetables. If you want someone to eat better,
Hey, what's this green thing?
give them something that tastes better.
It's a vegetable.
Oh, good.
Lean Cuisine Skillet Sensations. It's not just lean, it's cuisine.
When I was in 7th grade, I became bulimic.
His name is Derek Zoolander, male supermodel. One man. Ow! 5 syllables. And just clueless enough to think he can save the world.
The Prime Minister must be eliminated.
I don't think so.
If you find the files, you can stop them. They're in the computer.
They're in the computer? Ben Stiller is Zoolander. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, September 28th everywhere.
Tropicana Pure Premium Grove Stand is made from only fresh oranges, never from concentrate. It's as close as you can get to the orange. Tropicana Pure Premium.
Early Sunday morning, winter day, breakfast time, they're on their way. They can smell the cinnamon.
Nothing brings my family to the table like these grand cinnamon rolls from Pillsbury. You know, they're not just ordinary cinnamon rolls, they're grands.
Yeah, who can resist that cinnamon kiss from my heart to yours? My heart to yours.
No matter what anyone tells you, do not chew this new extra polarized gum. It'll change you. See what happens? Ah! New extra polarized will change you.
We're in different ends of the music spectrum, but actually we're the same color. Nice and easy Doc Auburn, number 112. Long-lasting color that rocks for me. In perfect harmony with me. Works with my own tones and highlights. It gives me amazing color. With one enticingly subtle difference. Me. It's natural color, all my own. Which is the best color there is.
Nice and Easy by Clairol. A beauty all your own.
The Florida recount battle turned into 37 days that rocked America to its constitutional core. Now that the dust has settled, what went on in the back rooms of the biggest political fight in America's history is coming to light. The latest edition of Newsweek magazine, which hits newsstands today, has an excerpt from a new in-depth book about the Florida fight. It's called The Accidental President: How 413 Lawyers, 9 Supreme Court Justices, and 5,160,110, give or take a few, Floridians landed George W. Bush in the White House. David Kaplan is the author of the book. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Glad to be here.
All right, so how would you describe this book in a nutshell?
An in-depth, definitive account of the election told with a sense of humor and particularly getting behind the scenes of the Supreme Court.
Isn't it hard to have a sense of humor when it comes to this whole mess, or was it?
It's hard, I think, with a little bit of distance. Some of the scenes, like that opening motorcade ride, and some of the scenes from the recount.
You mean the motorcade ride with the ballots?
No, the motorcade when Gore is on his way to the War Memorial in Nashville and then all of a sudden finds out, no, it's not 50,000 votes, it's a few hundred, I shouldn't be conceding. Some of those scenes are absurd, and I try to lend some humor in the book to it. Obviously, for the candidates, there wasn't a whole lot funny, and even now, when I'm talking with people on both sides and you ask them, looking back, isn't this amazing? And they say, amazing, yes, funny, no.
Yeah, passions are still incredibly
Absolutely.
high on both sides. Now, the Supreme Court is notoriously secretive. How were you able to get so much information and learn so much about what went on in those chambers and sort of in conversations, you know, that occurred afterwards?
Some good reporting, some luck. One of the luxuries you have writing a book, as opposed to doing journalism, is you have time. It's not daily deadline or weekly deadline pressure. You have months, and if a couple of people talk to you, that leads to a few more. So, and people are sometimes more comfortable saying things if you don't use their names when they talk to you on background. But it was nice that I could add some detail about the court, which was the one missing picture from the recount.
The Florida recount effectively ended with a 5-4 decision in favor of George W. Bush on December 12th. How contentious and nasty did it get, the deliberations?
Well, where they actually cast their votes in the conference right after the oral argument, we don't know what went on during that conference where only the justices are present, but we can see from their accounts, their private accounts, within weeks of the decision how contentious things were. And where they met, for example, with a contingent of Russian justices who had come to the Supreme Court, as they do every year, to learn how does constitutional law really work in a democracy. The justices were very frank in explaining some of their frustrations, and David Souter, when he met with a bunch of prep school students, also expressed his frustration that if he had one more day, maybe he could have turned a 5-4 vote for Bush into a 5-4 ruling for Gore.
He was thinking that he could sway Justice Kennedy.
Exactly.
His nickname during this whole debacle became Flipper.
Well, he's been known inside the court, particularly by some of his detractors, as Flippers, as in the old TV show. And the notion is that he equivocates and he wavers, and in key abortion decisions, for example, he's sometimes flip side. So Souter's hope was that with a little bit of time, which you usually have in a Supreme Court decision, maybe he could get Kennedy to go the other way. He obviously didn't succeed.
Kennedy felt very strongly that it was the Supreme Court's job to make this decision. He kept talking about taking responsibility and stepping up to the plate, didn't he?
Exactly. Kennedy's view as a justice, beyond liberal or conservative, is, I think, about the primacy of the court. That you've got to take responsibility for your role as a justice. Not a whole lot of thought about judicial restraint, about leaving it to another branch of government to decide like Congress. And you see that in lots of Kennedy opinions over the years.
Justice Breyer was very outspoken. He said this was the most outrageous, indefensible thing the court had ever done.
He had said that, according to someone in the room, he had said that to the Russian justices when one of them said to him rather sardonically, so explain this again to us, because in our country maybe people accuse of the system of having judges in the pockets of the executive. But here in the United States, that's not supposed to happen, isn't it? I think that kind of goaded Breyer. And again, it's a private setting, and they assume those comments would never become public.
Well, one of the Russian judges said to apparently two members of the Supreme Court, or to someone in particular, in our country, we wouldn't let judges pick the president.
Exactly. And, you know, you think if you're a Russian judge in a new democracy, you've been hearing all these years about the American system, and you kind of scratch your head and say, run this by us again?
Let's talk about some of the game plans that the Bush and the Gore team had in place. You write that Vice President Gore had Erin Brockovich in his back pocket. He was going to call on her to help. The Bush campaign had phoned John Danforth, who was on vacation, to sort of help at the last minute. But both plans were scuttled. How come?
Well, the Brockovich scene is one of my favorites in the book. A few days after Election Day, when they're trying to decide what to do, they haven't even settled on recounts. They're focusing on the butterfly ballot issue in Palm Beach, and how do you collect all these war stories to show that hundreds of thousands of people were confused. And Gore called up one of his top aides, Ron Klain, in the middle of the night and said, I know what to do. We'll get Erin Brockovich involved, not Julia Roberts, the real Erin Brockovich, who's really good at collecting stories. You know, you saw the movie, and Ron Klain was half asleep and said, you know, sure thing, Mr. Vice President, let's talk in the morning. And 20 minutes later, Gore called Klain back and said, no, let's go with Erin Brockovich. Now, she was never seen in Florida. The idea never went anywhere. On the Republican side, John Danforth, the former senator from Missouri, and a very respected fellow on both sides, was recruited to lead the federal court action. He was down on vacation in the Caribbean. But his initial reaction was, federal court? What federal issue is there? And we as Republicans loathe going to federal court. I'm not sure that makes sense. And the Republicans, Jim Baker, Don Evans, said, no, you should do this.
But he wasn't enthusiastic.
Okay. And then he backed out, and after he had signed up and checked out of his hotel, they said, nope, stay, have a nice vacation.
Yeah, your heart's not in
Absolutely.
In it. All right. Well, David Kaplan, interesting book about a very interesting period in our history. I'd repeat the title, but we only have 3 hours. It's actually the short version. It's called The Accidental President. Thanks so much for coming by. It is 7:47. Up next, an election race of a different kind. But first, these messages.
I have asthma. I also have 2 brothers and a dog, Max, and friends I hang out with. I don't want to miss out because of my asthma.
Singulair can help you control your child's asthma. Singulair is different from many daily inhaled controllers. It's not a steroid, and it's a once-a-day cherry chewable tablet that can help control your child's asthma for a full 24 hours. Singulair is available for children 2 years and older, and also for adults. Singulair should not be used to treat acute asthma attacks. Your child should continue taking their other asthma medicines unless their doctor tells you to stop or change the dose. If symptoms get worse, contact your child's doctor at once. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, flu, runny nose, and ear infection. For more information about Singulair, ask your child's doctor. And ask about adding once-a-day Singulair. Singulair, asthma control that can help you both breathe easier.
Every kid's got the same problem. Our moms are too busy for lunch, so they want something quick, right? Right. And they said it has to taste good, right? They said right. What are they thinking? I don't have the strength for this.
Betty Crocker thinks lunch should taste great, and delicious Bon Appetits do. Add water, microwave, and in minutes, a rich, creamy pasta Alfredo or a savory herb chicken vegetable rice. Delicious Betty Crocker Bon Appetit lunch bowls.
Thank goodness for Betty Crocker, whoever she is. Riboflavin.
It helps heal those bumps and bruises. And it's in Quaker oatmeal because someday Jan might not think of a bandage as a fashion statement. Just another reason to start their day the Quaker way.
Warms you heart and soul.
Before it's too late, bring that rebate check into Sears for an energy-efficient appliance. Sears sells more energy-efficient appliances than anyone, so it'll help you save money long after tax rebates are history.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me, 'cause you heard the bazaar that I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me, saying, never together, come back and see me. Yesterday, you've forgiven me, but it'll still be today till I say I'm sorry. Make it, like vanilla, it's the finest of the flavors. And see the jokers and you know the girl that goes at my door and they don't bang your wrist, you'll have to sign a waiver. I have a tendency to wear my mind on my sleeve. I had it's been 1 week since you looked at me, dropped your arms to the sides and said I'm sorry.
Well, Rockstar didn't fare nearly as well as expected at the box office over the weekend. Nevertheless, our Gene Shalit thinks Jennifer Aniston and Mark Wahlberg make beautiful music together in this heavy metal movie, which he says rings true.
Good morning and welcome to the Critics' Corner. Pittsburgh, early 1980s. Chris Cole, a still living at home youth, Mark Wahlberg, is so obsessed with a heavy metal rock band called Steel Dragon, and he so idolizes that band's frontman that he forms his own copycat band, Dragon in the Dragon Style. This is Hollywood, so the heavy metallurgists discover him, hire him, and he becomes the name of this movie, Rock Star, directed by Stephen Herrick. He's a whale of a singer, that's W-A-I-L. He shatters the decibel barrier. He proves his mettle. Now he descends into the amplified mega-dosing world of groupies, gropies, touring, and sex buffets.
That guy is going all the way.
Cole's girlfriend, Jennifer Aniston, stays with him every non-stop stop of the way until she can no longer stand putting up with the band's bevy of putting out promised cuties.
And that, well, we all know what that is, right? I think we better go, mate.
The heavy metal atmosphere, lurid behavior, the nights and sounds, they all have the din of authenticity.
What's going on? His wife ran off with Peter Gabriel.
Wahlberg and the bona fide musicians in this movie are all convincing, with a vivid portrayal by Timothy Spall as the band's chain-smoking manager.
The good Lord has given you a hell of a voice.
You know, if this movie had been released in the 1940s or 50s, it would have been considered science fiction. It would have been a foreboding of the cultural desolation to come, the way Mad Max and Road Warrior now foretell civil desolation. Rockstar is, after all, anthropology. It's a study of frenzied music that pierces like 1,000 fingernails on a blackboard. I myself have never been to any of these concerts. The closest I've ever come to heavy metal is the Anvil Chorus. Take that, Wahlberg. That's music. And on that note, we conclude the Critics' Corner for this morning.
And it is 7:52. We're back right after these messages.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly, and I'm going to be your instructor today.
She seems nice.
That means you belong to me.
Uh-oh.
Let's go. Pedal, pedal, pedal.
Bring it on, Kelly.
Need energy that lasts? Try Energy Crunch, the new cereal from Wheaties. It's got complex carbs, protein clusters, and B vitamins for that lasting energy you need.
Thanks, Kelly. That was fun.
New Wheaties Energy Crunch. How far does your breakfast go?
She's got my keen sense of adventure. She's got my natural grace. But I don't want Jenna to have scars like mine. I treat her cuts and scrapes with Neosporin.
Neosporin not only kills more strains of infectious bacteria, a clinical test shows that treating scrapes with Neosporin helps minimize the appearance of scars.
She's even got my classic beauty.
Prevent infection. Help minimize the appearance of scars. Use Neosporin. Every cut, every time.
All skin is not created equal. It's more delicate around the eyes.
L'Oreal creates new Advanced Revitalift Eye. Smooths with Pro-Retinol A. And firms with Paralastol. New Revitalift Eye. Only from L'Oreal.
You're just 6 hours away from more beautiful eyes.
Typical dry cat food. Now Whiskas savory nuggets with the soft center.
Perhaps we should try another building.
Whiskas with savory nuggets. What cats want.
I like to come here early in the morning. before the rest of the world puts their 2 cents in.
When you have pain and sleeplessness, but worry about taking something, reach for Tylenol PM. It's non-habit forming, stops your pain and helps you sleep so you can wake up refreshed.
If I don't have a good morning, I don't hold out much hope for the rest of the day.
Take comfort. It's Tylenol PM.
In our house, the homemade taste of Stouffer's lasagna brings everyone together. Where are we going?
I'm going to the movies with Sarah.
Where are you running?
Robbie's.
With Stouffer's rich layers of cheese and tomato sauce, it's more than just a dinner. It's Stouffer's lasagna night. I thought you guys were going out.
I'm not going out. He's going out.
I'm not going out.
He was going out.
What? I got home.
Nothing comes closer to home.
So coming up in our next half hour, we'll start a special week-long Forever Young series called Living Better Today. And this morning, we're going to talk about improving your brain power and your memory.
I could really use that. That's going to be interesting. It's really on reversing the aging process all week long, right?
Trying to slow it down.
What are we going to be doing that on?
Also, designer Kenneth Cole, but first,
You are watching Today, America's favorite morning program.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
A cloudy morning here in the nation's capital, a little bit muggy too, 75 degrees, warm out there this morning, but a cool front coming. Tom will tell us about that coming up. Good morning. I'm Barbara Harrison. It's Monday, September 10th, 2001. It's been 11 weeks since a group of Southeast Washington residents were evacuated from their homes because of a fuel spill at a local gas station. They're still living in hotels and wondering when the city will decide their homes are safe. The spill happened June 19th. 13 families were evacuated and 3 others were asked to move out of their homes near the BP Amoco station at 41st Street and Alabama Avenue Southeast. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is closing one of its disaster recovery centers and reducing the number of its workers in the district. Today, FEMA will close its center at the Harry Thomas Recreation Center in Northeast. The center at the Reeves Municipal Center in Northwest will remain open from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And Arlington County leaders are angry that they've been left out of plans to expand Arlington National Cemetery. The Pentagon wants to take 2 parcels of land from the National Park Service. One is near the Iwo Jima Memorial. The other is near Arlington House, which is the centerpiece of the cemetery. The House of Representatives will take up the issue this week. And when we come back, we're going to look at weather and traffic in just a moment. Stay with us.
This News 4 Today news break is sponsored by Melwood, creating opportunities for people with disability.
Kathy has a place to call home. James has a job for the very first time. Help create more opportunities for success. Donate your used car, truck, or boat to Melwood. You'll receive a great tax deduction benefit, and we'll tow your vehicle for free. Call Melwood at 1-800-333-4788. That's 1-800-333-4788. Melwood, a Washington area nonprofit agency serving people with mental retardation for over 30 years.
Maybe it's the soil.
Nope. Got to keep looking.
Maybe the sun. Or just something in the air.
Nope. Not here.
But things just naturally seem to grow faster in the South.
There you are.
Lotto South. New from the Virginia Lottery. Current jackpot, $2 million.
Whoa, it grows fast.
Good morning, meteorologist Tom Curine. Digital Doppler XT radar picking up some scattered light rain showers around this morning in Fauquier County, Fairfax, Montgomery, Howard, and Carroll counties. These are all slowly moving off to the northeast, just some scattered light showers around now. But we have a greater threat for some thunder showers between 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock this evening. Highs today reaching the mid-80s, and skies should go partly sunny here in the next couple of hours. And then tomorrow, some comfortable, more autumnal-like weather, cooler and drier from Tuesday into the weekend starts. Now let's check on that traffic. How's it going, Jerry?
Hey, Tom, a little bit busy out there. Good morning, everyone. The trip around town getting pretty slow. Here we are in Springfield. Several long stretches of heavy traffic on 95 to the Occoquan and beyond. But right now, no accidents in traffic. Coming in from the North Country this morning along 270. Live pictures of 270 at 118. Pretty heavy, but presently no accidents reported. Barbara?
All right, thank you very much. We'll have all the news coming up on News 410, but we'll be back in 25 minutes with another update. We'll see you then.
November 29, 1999, Helms-Biden becomes law, promising the UN America's overdue bills will be paid if the UN makes changes. It does that and more, even naming an inspector general to cut waste. But we don't pay. Then the Senate votes to pay the bill, and the House too. Now, 2 years after Helms-Biden, congressional gridlock still stops payment. Before President Bush makes his first speech at the UN, Congress should honor our commitment and pay the UN bill. Great nations keep their word.
We're back at 8 o'clock on this Monday morning. It's the 10th day of September. The year is 2001. Summer vacation is over. Most folks are back at work or in school, but we still have a nice-sized crowd outside our window on the world here in Rockefeller Plaza. As always, it's great to see them. And Al will be going out there momentarily to do some schmoozing.
Which fits him.
Yeah, it's pretty warm out there today, isn't it? Humid?
But I was looking at the long-range forecast, Mr. Roper.
Were you
and by
now?
the end of the week, high temperatures of about 70 degrees.
That's right, nice and cool, more fall-like.
I love that time of year.
And,
Yeah,
and up north,
September's
the trees
beautiful.
are starting to change a little bit already.
Really?
Yeah, just a tad.
Oh.
It's a world gone mad.
Anyway, inside Studio 1A, I'm Katie
Candle in
Kirk.
the wind.
That's an
Inside
inside
joke.
joke. Along with Matt Lauer and Al Roker. Coming up in this half hour, a perfect mother and businesswoman goes missing in Susan Isaac's latest murder mystery. It's called Long Time No See. The best-selling author is here to tell us more about it and why, after all this time, she decided to bring back the amateur sleuth from compromising positions. Her very first novel. Matt?
Also, we're going to begin a week-long special series on Forever Young. It's going to talk about focusing on your brain. We're going to actually, the whole series is about living better. This morning, we're going to focus on your brain and how you can improve your memory. Then a little later on, former Beatle Paul McCartney first met Heather Mills back in May of 1999 at a charity awards presentation. This past July, the two became officially engaged. Well, tonight, Heather will receive an award for her work on behalf of the victims of landmines. She's going to be here to tell us a little bit more about that in just a while.
And also, it is Fashion Week here in the Big Apple. Lots going on all over the city. Designer Kenneth Cole will be here this morning to give us a preview of his spring 2002 collection. Hard to believe that you're starting to see spring fashions when most people haven't even bought their fall clothes yet.
No, I haven't.
Me neither. How about you?
Been shopping a little bit, yeah.
Anyway, before we get to all that, first, Ann has the morning's top news stories. Ann, good morning again.
Good morning again to you, Katie, Matt, Nell, and all of you this morning. In the news this morning, a former security guard wanted for the shooting deaths of 5 people over the weekend shot himself to death this morning after a furious gun battle with police in Sacramento, California. Police found 20-year-old Joseph Ferguson dead in his car. They say he was upset because he was suspended from his job and recently broke up with his girlfriend. She was one of the 5 people who were shot to death. An earthquake rattled Los Angeles residents on Sunday. The quake was centered just outside West Hollywood. It damaged an apartment building but caused no injuries. People felt it as far away as 70 miles away. Scientists say, however, there is a chance the magnitude 4.2 quake might be a precursor to a bigger one. Firefighters are battling a blaze outside Sacramento that has burned 26 homes. The fire has forced residents in 400 homes to evacuate, and officials say they don't expect to contain the fire before Wednesday or Thursday. A preliminary report blames an overloaded plane for last month's crash that killed singer Aaliyah and 8 others. The plane went down shortly after takeoff in the Bahamas. The National Transportation Safety Board says the weight of the luggage, the passengers, and the fuel far exceeded the maximum weight for the twin-engine plane. Jury selection begins tomorrow in a competency hearing to see if Andrea Yates is fit to stand trial for murder. Yates is the woman charged with drowning her 5 children in Houston. NBC's Jim Cummins reports.
Andrea Yates was a woman so tormented by depression and psychosis, she scratched bald spots in her scalp while having visions and hearing voices that told her to get a knife and hurt someone. Those are among the findings of her doctors in more than 1,000 pages of medical records filed by Yates' lawyers with the Houston court, where Yates faces charges of drowning each of her 5 children, one at a time, in the family bathtub. The records show that in the last 2 years before the murders, Yates was hospitalized several times for threatening or attempting suicide shortly after giving birth to one of her babies. When Yates was admitted in May this year, barely 6 weeks before the murders, her doctor wrote, "The patient's mother-in-law had found the patient with the bathtub filled up with water, and the patient was not communicating with anyone about her intent." This week, there will be a hearing to determine whether Yates is mentally able to stand trial for the murders now. Houston lawyer Dick DeGuerin, who has defended other women in child murder cases, says this is what the jury must decide.
Is this person presently able to assist their lawyer in preparing for the case and going through the trial?
Yates' family says she is doing much better now that she's been hospitalized almost 12 weeks and is on the right medications. If the jury decides Yates is able to stand trial for murder, she will face the death penalty. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Dallas.
Gasoline prices are on the rise. According to the Lundberg survey, prices over the past 2 weeks rose about 5 cents a gallon. The average price at the pump is now $1.56 a gallon. It is now 8:05, and time for the weather now.
Today's weather is brought to you by Minute Maid Premium Orange Juice. It only takes a minute, but the feeling lasts all day.
Another check at 8:30. We're out here. Hello, Metropolis, the home of super. What's going on?
We're up here visiting New York City.
8:30. Who's got the little S underneath his shirt? Is it you? Are you from? It's you. Okay, there you go, Clark. Well, thank you very much. Let's check your weather, see what's going on, and we'll show you that we've got some wet weather moving through the Great Lakes, working its way toward the northeast. Some strong storms later on this afternoon could occur as this cold front works its way in. The rest of the country looking pretty good. We got lots of sunshine from the Mississippi and Ohio valleys all the way back into the southwest. Pacific Northwest looks nice as well. Look for a lot of wet weather in central and southern Florida today. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Mostly cloudy, humid this morning. Temperatures in the mid-70s. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. Radar picking up a cluster of showers coming into the central Shenandoah Valley out of the West Virginia highlands this morning. And closer to home, we have a few sprinkles showing up, some scattered light showers in Fairfax County, Montgomery County, into points north. And as the day progresses, we'll see a little sun in and out, but a greater chance of showers and thunder from about 3 o'clock p.m. until 8 p.m. And then some cool, dry autumnal weather coming in starting Tuesday into the weekend.
That's your latest weather. Now here's Gail.
All right, Al, thank you very much. Next up, tips on how to live longer and better and actually remember what you did yesterday. But first, these messages.
Good morning, oranges. You know what isn't going to happen today? You aren't going to be concentrated or sweetened or added to or any other dumb thing we humans sometimes dream up. Today, you're just going to be yourself. That's a promise. Introducing Simply Orange. 100% unfooled around with.
Dad dyes his hair. Got a rash on his. Mom made Dad get a new secretary. Has to sleep on the sofa. Mom had to cut up all her credit cards. We don't pay for cable. My sister dresses like a floozy.
Need a little quiet time? Give them a Quaker Chewy. Wholesome granola now mixed with delicious chunks of Nestle Baby Ruth bars. And look, they're so happy they're speechless. Quaker Chewy granola bars. Chewy stops the chatter.
Good. Boy, you sure love Campbell's tomato soup.
Runs in the family.
You always knew Campbell's was good.
My father ate Campbell's tomato for 70 years.
Diets rich in tomato products are associated with the reduced risk of certain types of cancer. And all of these Campbell's soups are full of tomato goodness.
So whatever became of your father?
Oh, he's up there somewhere.
Campbell's. Good.
Can I help you?
Can you help me? Can he help me? Well, I think it's a little too late for that. New extra polar ice will change you.
Next.
Kids. How's the seal?
Think he's gonna make it?
Yeah, these guys are good. Yeah.
At Sears Auto Center, we install your tires in less than an hour, or you get a $20 Sears gift card. Sears. Where else?
Australia. With people this friendly, with value this good. 12 nights in Sydney, Melbourne, and the Great Barrier Reef. Just $16.99 round trip from Los Angeles on Qantas. Call now, 800-89-KOALA. With a deal this good, you've waited long enough.
The Heartburn Hotel. If you suffer persistent heartburn 2 days a week or more, despite diet change and treatment, it may be acid reflux disease. Prescription Prevacid can mean 24-hour relief from acid reflux disease. Prevacid turns off tiny pumps that produce acid. It has a low occurrence of side effects, such as diarrhea, abdominal pain, and nausea. Ask your doctor if Prevacid is right for you.
So leave your heartburn behind, yeah!
Got a snap in my finger.
This morning on our continuing series, Forever Young, A Guide to Life After 50, we're talking about living better today. And all this week, in conjunction with Newsweek magazine, we'll look at some ways folks over 50 can live longer and better lives. This morning, we kick off our series with the brain and memory. 86-year-old Jasper Cook believes his memory is as good as ever.
So, number 7, right over there, the lady in the red dress. I'm a minister and an auctioneer, and you better have a good memory or else you're out.
But for many others in his community, the notion of memory loss weighs heavily on their minds.
Being a senior and being on a fixed income, I'll go to the store, and the things that I go to the store for that I need, if it's not written down, I'll spend about $60 and come home and still won't have what I originally went to the store for.
Joy.
I can look at television and see an actor or an actress that I've known for 50 years and can't recall their name. I just can't drag it out.
80% of older adults have day-to-day concerns about their memory.
But this kind of
Associate Professor Graham McDougall has spent years studying memory loss at the University of Texas at Austin's nursing department.
How many names of fruits can you think of that begin with a P?
This memory training course is part of a multi-million-dollar research grant funded by the National Institute on Aging.
The goal of this study is certainly to keep people independent longer and reduce the need for institutionalization or more complex care.
In addition to learning memory tactics, the group talks candidly about memory loss.
They say if you're a senior, you have just for a moment you forget.
Okay.
So they call it a senior moment.
Okay. There is some memory loss that comes with aging, and we know that people don't process information at the same speed that they did when they were 25 or 30. But we know that they have other strengths more developed than people who are in their 30s. And some of the basic research that's been conducted now have shown that people can grow new neurons and connections. So there is some physiologic basis to the saying, use it or lose it.
While the research continues, Jasper Cook has his own strategy for preventing memory loss.
I keep alert and hardly forget anything. If you keep your mind busy, I don't think you're going to forget.
And as an auctioneer, minister, writer, and comedian, Jasper feels years younger than his real age.
Keep them cold, icy fingers off of me. I feel, 60, no more 65. Sure. I'm still a young man. I keep that mind working. That's the secret. Guarantee it.
Molly Wagster is Program Director for Neuropsychology of Aging Research at the National Institute on Aging. Molly, good morning. Good to have you here. What's happening physiologically in our brains as we get older that impedes our memory?
Well, over the last 5 to 10 years, we've really changed our view of what's happening in the older brain. For one thing, there was a lot of research that indicated that we lost lots of nerve cells with increasing age, and that this may be the basis for our cognitive changes, the mild cognitive changes that we experience. But we now know from a number of animal and human studies that there really isn't substantial nerve cell loss with age.
As a matter of fact, we heard in the piece there that we can actually grow new neurons, which is very promising, it would sound.
Yes, this is very exciting research. There's actually data in humans to indicate that even in older adults, we're capable of giving birth to new neurons, the process called neurogenesis. And although it's not at the same rate as it is in younger adults, nonetheless, we find this promising.
So if we're not losing as many brain cells as we once thought, that whole myth of you're losing millions every day, if we can regenerate brain cells, why are so many people experiencing memory loss?
Well, that's a very good question and the subject of a lot of research. Certainly we're not generating new nerve cells probably at the rate that we may be losing a few. As I said, it's not substantial nerve cell loss with age, but we are losing some nerve cells.
Is it true that when we get older we tend to use different parts of the brain than we used when we were younger?
Well, there's again some very exciting research with new neuroimaging technologies that indicate that in older adults for certain types of memory function that they actually the older adult actually activates more brain regions than the younger adult when performing the task. We don't know exactly what this means. It may mean that the older adult is recruiting more areas of the brain in order to do the task, sort of recruiting soldiers to the army. Or it may mean that they're using different mental strategies than a younger adult and therefore activating different brain circuitry.
In the piece there we saw the seniors who were taking part in the kind of memory exercise, the how many fruits can you remember that start with P. Do those things work?
Well, truthfully, in humans, this research is ongoing, and so we hope that we will find that engaging in at least in new mental activities, new things that sort of push the envelope, will provide us with help in maintaining cognitive function in older age. Most of what we know comes from animal studies, and when you place animals into new, novel, complex environments, it not only helps improve their learning and memory performance, but it actually induces changes in the brain.
Let's talk about some of the tips you have for people as they age to help with their memory power, if you will. Get aerobic exercise. Why does that work?
Well, again, a study a couple of years ago from University of Illinois, Art Kramer placed older individuals in two groups, aerobic exercise, walking, or anaerobic exercise, just toning and stretching. And those adults who engaged in aerobic exercise showed a substantial cognitive improvement after just 6 months.
Get a well-balanced diet. You've got some samples of the types of foods people should be eating to increase their brain power. Why are these so good?
Well, this also comes from a couple of recent studies in rodents, in animals, in which they supplemented old animals' diets with fruits and vegetables that were high in antioxidants, such as those you see there on the table.
Green leafy spinach, blueberries, strawberries.
Yes, and particularly for blueberries, when they added blueberries to the diet, it improved not only the animal's cognitive performance, but their motor performance as well.
Other things you talk about, get plenty of sleep. That helps anybody remember
Yes.
things. Keep stress levels low and try new activities, which again, challenge the brain. If you lose it, or if you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
That's right.
All right, Molly, thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's 8:17 tomorrow on this series, Your Mood and How You Age. But up next, best-selling novelist Susan Isaacs talks about her latest novel. And still to come on today, designer Kenneth Cole reveals his spring 2002 fashion line right outside on the plaza. Also ahead, how to tell if your child really has the athletic potential to make it big. But first, these messages.
Connor O'Neill had nothing he could count on.
You looking for faith?
Until he met 10
What's
kids.
going on?
All right, let me break it down to you right quick. Coffee say you catch any apple ball.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Who gave him something to believe in.
What do you do around here for fun?
The baseball with you. Oh my God, he caught it.
Keanu Reeves. This Friday.
One of the most important things in life is showing up. I'm blown away by your ability to show up.
Hardball, rated PG-13. Starts Friday in theaters everywhere.
Right, things are really shaping up. What's for lunch?
Tomato soup.
Condensed soup? That was okay when we colored with crayons. We're adults now. There's a better tasting soup.
Progresso Hearty Tomato. Big chunks of fine ripened tomatoes and special seasonings, so you get way more flavor. See the difference?
This is better.
Now about your finger painting.
What?
It's time to go to the better taste, the Progresso.
You're looking for a home. You're searching. There are questions. Where do you start? You can search over 1.3 million current home listings. Click on to Realtor.com. Check info on schools and financing. Even take a virtual tour. And when you're ready, you can click and connect with a realtor. Realtor.com. It's the place to start when you start looking for a home.
Work is good. Noble. I'm gonna show them how this job is done.
Packed with protein and essential vitamins and minerals, Carnation Instant Breakfast from Nestle is serious morning fuel.
This bird's ready to fly!
Everyone's looking for that miracle cream. Mine's New Excellence Hair Color from L'Oreal. My non-drip cream just got better. Now it protects non-stop with lots of extra conditioner for beautiful color and no grays. New Excellence from L'Oreal Paris.
From spring to fall, it's in the air. It's allergy season. That's why there's Claritin for 24-hour non-drowsy relief. Claritin has a low occurrence of side effects, such as headache, drowsiness, fatigue, and dry mouth, similar to sugar pill. So from the time you warm up early in the morning, through those extra innings late at night, when the ump yells, "Play ball!" you'll be ready. Talk to your doctor about Claritin.
Hi, I'm Doug Flutie, pro football player and father of an autistic child. I started the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation to help less fortunate families of autistic children get the support they need. Here's a way you can help. Just dial 1010-220. All calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents, and 1010-220 will make a donation to the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation every time you use it. So dial 1010-220, get up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents, and help some great kids at the same time. It's a win-win situation.
Susan Sarandon starred as suburban housewife and amateur sleuth Judith Singer opposite the late Raul Julia in the 1985 movie Compromising Positions.
I was here with a homicidal maniac, a mad dog. A guy kept serving me dog yummies and Coca-Cola.
Please calm down. Everything's under control now.
It's
Thanks
easy
to
for
you.
you to
Thank
say
you.
thank you
I
very
don't
much.
have to tell you, you perform magnificently.
Oh, yes, you do.
You perform magnificently.
Thank you very much.
The film was based on the best-selling novel of the same name written by Susan Isaacs. Now, more than 20 years later, Isaacs brings back Judith Singer in her latest murder mystery called Long Time No See. Susan, nice to see you.
Great to see you.
NPR called you Jane Austen with a schmear. So mazel tov. That must have been very exciting. Now, I know that you vowed not to write a sequel to Compromising Positions, that Judith Singer had come and gone, and yet you've brought her back to life. How come?
Well, I didn't want to because I wanted to try other forms of writing, and I didn't want to be 20 years down the line and write, you know, Judith Singer solves the homicide in the dairy aisle.
Right.
But I had to write a short story for my writers group. We were doing an anthology, and I froze. I panicked. I've never written a short story before. And by the time I got home from the meeting, there was Judith, and it was like a high school friend coming back who doesn't buy your sophisticated act.
Right.
And I felt so comforted, and I thought, maybe I can write a short story. So I did, and I had an enormous good time. And at the end of the story, I found myself writing about she sees the detective again after 20 years, but that's another story. And when I wrote that ending, I said, oh, I guess this is my next novel.
And Judith is back, and she's older, wiser. She's now a widow.
Right.
Her very health-conscious husband keeled over unexpectedly of a heart attack, right? When he was in 54, is that
54,
right?
just finishing the marathon. Yeah.
And she's sort of dealing with being a widow, and then all of a sudden, her sort of her investigative passions are ignited because there is a murder in her town. A young woman named Courtney Logan. Tell me about this woman.
Courtney Logan is the perfect mom. She's a former investment banker who quit her job to take care of her kids, and everything is great about her. She's smiley, she's perky, she plays tennis, does creative, takes them to nuclear physics readiness class.
Right.
And except all of a sudden she's missing.
And she not only does that, but she starts this video company called Star Baby.
Star Baby.
Right, so that you can make really professional movies, home movies of your children. She's missing. Her body is ultimately found. I'm not giving too much away,
No,
I think.
that's okay.
Very close to home. Let's just put it that way. And so Judith is on the case and hot on the trail. You've also brought back her love interest, a guy named Nelson Sharp, who is now a captain of the Nassau County Police Department, right?
And she hasn't seen him for 20 years. And she's trying to solve the case. She's trying to do it on her own, but she also needs him to get some information to her. but she also needs him for other reasons. And
Right.
is she doing the right thing? Is she not doing the right thing? And then all her friends come back, well, except for the periodontist who died in compromising positions. You know,
Right.
he's gone, period.
And we were talking about Judith Singer, what makes her so great. I mean, I think women who read this book totally relate to her because she's smart and funny and practical, and she doesn't take anything too seriously, and she's completely void of pretension, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
She's a little like Susan Isaacs,
Oh,
I
thank
think.
you.
I do. Anyway, the book is called Long Time No See.
Yeah.
It's great to have Judith Singer back. Do you think maybe this will be made into another movie with Susan Sarandon 20 years later?
William Morris says there's interest, but it's this vague thing. It's like a little like talking to God.
Yeah,
so
you never know.
You never know.
Well, it's
I hope
great to
so.
see you, Susan, and great to have
Thanks.
another novel to read by you. Anyway, take care, Susan. Good to see you.
Thanks.
It's still to come this morning. Kenneth Cole will be here to unveil his new spring collection, and Paul McCartney's fiancée, Heather Mills, who's getting a special award. But first, these messages.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
8:25 is the time, 75 degrees at National Airport. We have clouds above this morning, and Tom Kirine says there could be some rain on the way. We'll get his forecast in just a bit. Good morning, I'm Joe Krebs. In the News 4 Today, doctors say that a Northern Virginia woman who was attacked by a shark along North Carolina's Outer Banks is improving. 23-year-old Natalia Baldina's condition has been upgraded from critical to fair at a Norfolk hospital. Her fiancé was killed by the shark. The couple lived in Oakton in Fairfax County. A 63-year-old Baltimore County woman who was the second person in the state of Maryland to contract the West Nile virus has now died, but apparently not from the West Nile virus. She was admitted to Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center last month for an unrelated illness, and she died of causes unrelated to West Nile. Another West Nile victim, though, 72-year-old man from Baltimore, remains in serious but stable condition at Sinai Hospital. And beginning today, it will cost you 50 cents to make a phone call on a pay phone in our area. Verizon says it's raising the rates because it's making less money from pay phones now that so many people have cellular phones. We'll take a break right now, come back and take a look at our weather forecast and the rush hour. Stay with us.
This News 4 Today news break is sponsored by Long Fence. Everything we do makes a difference.
Investing in a new patio room is a big decision, but Long Fence makes it easy. Visit the Long Fence showroom to see for yourself the fine quality materials and craftsmanship found in every room. Select from the different styles and features. Want it easier? We'll visit you. In-home estimates are free. Plus, our design consultants will show you all the options and amenities Long Fence offers. Call now and receive a great money-saving offer. Long Fence. Everything we build makes a difference.
2 weeks into the project and he looks good. Fresh turkey good.
Good coloring.
Backside looks supple. Let's get this one back home.
Well, that's not what your principal said.
What's for dinner?
Oh, looks like fresh turkey cutlets.
All right. We're doing good work here.
At Juniper Farms, our mission is fresh turkey.
Good morning, meteorologist Tom Kirine. The Digital Doppler XT radar up and running this morning. Picking up some scattered light showers around. There's one batch of some moderate rain showers now coming into the central Shenandoah Valley, into Rockingham and Shenandoah counties right now. And closer to home, we have a few sprinkles showing up on the Virginia Piedmont from Fauquier County through northern Prince William, parts of Loudoun, and now into southeast Washington. A little shower there, as well as northern Prince George's County and northern Montgomery County. These are all tracking off to the northeast. And we will see a humid day today. Afternoon highs reaching the mid-80s, partly sunny skies, and a greater chance of some thunder showers between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. Then some cooler, drier weather starting Tuesday and lasting all the way into the weekend. Jerry Edwards, how's the Monday morning traffic now?
Tom, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Little rocky in a couple of spots. Let's head on out. Here we are with an accident, 395 northbound, the express lane span. Authorities are still on the scene dealing with that with a hefty backup. Let's go to Prince George's County. We'll show you the Beltway outer loop, which is just jammed, getting past the remnants of an accident, outer loop at Route 4 on the shoulder. Back to you.
Okay, Jerry, thanks. The rest of the morning's top stories are coming up on News 4 at 10, and we'll have another local news update in just 25 minutes.
Wouldn't it be incredible to be able to clearly detect a serious health problem before it gets worse? Well, forget incredible. It's now a reality. With Millennium Scan, board-certified radiologists use the most advanced technology available to get the most detailed images of every part of your body, so they have a clear picture of the state of your health. There's never been an imaging process so thorough, so clear, and so revealing, and there's never been an easier way to protect your health. Call today or log on at millenniumscan.com.
CarMax.com has a great selection of used cars online. We carry nearly every make and model. Find a car from any of the thousands we sell nationwide and have it transferred to the store nearest you. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
You asked for used cars you can depend on, so we created CarMax, where every used car comes with a 30-day limited warranty and a 5-day money-back guarantee. We even offer extended warranties that protect you for up to 100,000 miles. CarMax, the way car buying.
Tonight, Jay's all new with Keanu Reeves, plus Babyface and headlines. Also this week, Charlie Sheen and Just Shoot Me's David Spade. Then on Conan, Regis Philbin tonight.
We're back now at 8:30 on this Monday morning. It's the 10th day of September 2001. You're looking at kind of an unusual shot of Rockefeller Plaza. The tent is not normally there. It's there this week as part of Fashion Week. Designer Kenneth Cole is bringing his collection to Rockefeller Center. Most of the fashion shows are taking place down on 42nd Street, but he's moved uptown a little bit.
And some in the meatpacking district
right?
as well, so further
See,
downtown.
some of the models are getting ready right now. Meanwhile, outside on the plaza, a lot hotter and more humid out here. And we're going to get a chance to talk to Kenneth in just a second. You're going to take a look at some of the fashions.
That's right. We're going to talk to him about how he combines retail with social activism. But this is really an important week for the fashion industry here in New York because there are fashion shows all over the place. And last night, Tracy Ullman and I went to the Dion von Furstenberg fashion show. Well, Tracy is our fashionista journalista this week, and she's going to have a full report on Friday. So we thought it might be fun to go together, and we had such a good time.
So the U.S. Open Saturday night, little fashion show last night. It's just tough to keep up with you, isn't it?
I know. I'm quite the social butterfly, aren't I?
Yes.
Anyway. And, sorry.
What else is coming up in this half hour?
Well, you're going to be talking with Heather Mills.
Right. She is the fiancée of Sir Paul McCartney, also someone who's accomplished great things in her own right. And tonight she's being honored with an award for her work on behalf of victims of landmines. We're going to talk to Heather about that in a few minutes.
Anyway, so an exciting half hour, but first time for another check of the weather with Mr. Roker, who's got some cycling friends.
That's right. If you've noticed all throughout the crowd, there are folks wearing cycling jerseys, and the United Way and Williams has teamed up for a great bike-a-thon, basically, across the country, and Cuba Wadlington Jr. is with Williams. You want to tell us a little about it?
This is our third annual bike ride where we've got some 250 employees that are going to travel some 7,000 miles across America to raise some $24 million.
And you've got folks leaving today from here to go to Houston?
We have people leaving today to go from New York to Houston, and we have 4 other rides across the country as well.
It's kind of a relay. And Ralph Dickerson, head of the United Way. Ralph, are you riding? How far are you riding?
You know I'm
you
riding.
Look like you riding.
I'm riding all the way,
you
Ralph.
Look like you rode here already. My
You got it.
Well, that's great. Well, congratulations. Good luck for the ride. We'll hopefully keep your weather good for you all the way across country. All right.
Thank you.
United Way. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. We have some scattered light rain showers around the metro area this morning in southeast Washington and into extreme western Prince George's County, and some scattered light showers from Fauquier County, northern Prince William, Loudoun, and Montgomery County. These are all tracking off to the northeast. But the greater threat of thunder showers is this afternoon and early this evening, and we're going to have a rather humid day. Partly sunny skies at times, highs in the mid-80s. But we do have some cooler, drier, much more comfortable weather coming in starting tomorrow, and it's going to last all the way into the weekend.
That's your latest weather. Now let's head over this way and say hello to Miss Katie.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Roker. Up next, Heather Mills, the future Mrs. Paul McCartney, on her fight against landmines. But first, this is Today on NBC.
I'm
Barbara Harrison. My Wednesday's Child reports have helped hundreds of local children find loving adoptive homes. And now you can help too with just a few simple steps. Join the Freddie Mac Foundation and NBC4 for the 12th annual Wednesday's Child 5K race for adoption. It's on Sunday, September 16th. Come run or walk to show your support for the thousands of local foster children still waiting to be adopted. Registration is free and there are great prizes. Log on to NBC4.com for more information. And thank you.
Zach, the lip ring is caught on my braces.
Don't move.
Call someone?
I'm not using my minutes.
Just use them.
I'll call after 8 when my rates go down.
That's 4 hours away.
3.5. Don't be so dramatic.
Hey, she's young. Maybe her next boyfriend will have Voice Stream's Whenever Minutes.
The most whenever minutes, only from VoiceStream. For whenever you feel like calling.
What makes you smile?
Every day at McDonald's, we're serving up a variety of great tastes at breakfast. Whether you like scrambled eggs with pancakes, Egg McMuffins, sausage biscuits with egg, or our delicious bagel sandwiches, we've got something hot, fresh, and made to order just for you. And remember, no breakfast is complete without coffee and the cool, fresh squeezed taste of Minute Maid orange juice. Start off your day, every day, with breakfast variety at McDonald's.
They open up to late night fun, to Sunday family outings. From the bus, to the train, to destinations all over the world. They open up to the road to success. And with hundreds of new buses and trains, they bring people together. More than 1 million people like you step through them every day. Every day, Metro opens doors.
Heather Mills has packed a lot of living into her 33 years. She ran away from home at the age of 13 and then turned her life around by creating several business ventures and a successful modeling career. A career that, by the way, almost ended when a motorcycle hit her, forcing the amputation of her left leg when she was only 25. Through it all, she's been working tirelessly for the victims of landmine accidents around the world. And today receives the Red Book Magazine Mothers and Shakers Award, along with Hillary Rodham Clinton, Sarah Ferguson, and some others. And if that isn't enough, Sir Paul McCartney asked her to marry him this past July. Heather, good morning. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
Tell me a little about this award. What does this mean to you?
I just know it's for my humanitarian work. I've had 25 awards now, so it's not that I'm getting blasé about it. It's just I just worry that enough people aren't doing enough good work because they could spread them out a little bit more. But I'm not very knowledgeable on America, so I don't know the Red Book magazine, but apparently it's quite a popular magazine.
And you're not blasé about it. It's a personal accolade, but I know you look at these as more of an opportunity to get out there.
Publicize everything that I'm doing at the moment. At the moment, it's perfect timing because we're holding a night of 1,000 dinners, which is to try and get everyone at home to actually be involved in the whole landmine situation, raise awareness, and hold a dinner in their own home or local community.
You come to this country, and when you talk about landmines, Heather, do you think that people here grasp the enormity of the problem as well as, say, perhaps people in the countries where the landmines are actually a problem?
Well, obviously never as much as where the landmine situation is, but you'll be surprised if you actually sit someone down and they have an understanding of it. You know, they have enough troubles in their own life, so they're not always that interested initially. But when I do a lot of public speaking around the world, so by the end of it, everybody gets involved and helps raise money. We can make a child walk again for $20.
I was reading that. I was amazed. We're talking about prosthetic devices.
Yeah.
$20 can be enough to give them an appropriate prosthetic device?
Yeah, for their country. I mean, if you're in Cambodia, they need something to work in the rice paddy fields, which is completely different to what you would or I would need in America or in England. So we can make it from local resources. What I try and do is make them self-sufficient, not just go in as a charity, give them something and leave. So they become sort of prosthetists in their own country.
How important is celebrity? Obviously, we became aware of this cause with Princess Diana. Your fiancé, Sir Paul McCartney, has gotten involved. Without that celebrity, can you drive home the message as well?
Not as much, no. I mean, Diana came in sort of 3 years after my involvement, and she just did a huge, huge awakening, and now we're trying to do a reawakening. And obviously Paul alone in his celebrity to that is brought a lot of attention, and we've raised a few million. So
already helped something
yeah.
like 27,000.
Well, 27,000 people were fitted up with my money and my work before any of the sort of celebrity came into it, because I just collected unwanted prostheses and got prisoners who do nothing and sit there all day to actually take them apart, dismantle them, and then I shipped them down to the former Yugoslavia. So as a one person, and I had a sort of small celebrity in Britain and around Europe, but not in America.
Not such a small
so
celebrity. Pretty well
that
known.
Helped.
Tell me about the wedding. When is that going to happen?
I'm not telling anybody.
2002, though?
It'll be next year. It'll be next year.
Big
Very
wedding,
much
little
looking
wedding? Will you
forward
tell
to
me
it.
that?
Not saying a word.
Not saying a word.
Not saying
How's
a
Paul
word.
doing?
Great.
Yeah?
Wonderful.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck. Again, you're receiving a wonderful award today on behalf of your work.
And if anyone wants to hold a dinner, it's 1000dinners.com.
Well, just explain that to me. They're supposed to charge the people they bring to dinner a little bit of money?
$5 to whatever they can charge, and then they donate it. And 1000dinners.com, you can actually read all about it. You could hold a Cambodian evening or a Croatian evening where we're clearing the minefields.
And when you think about it, when you say if you gather 4 people together, they pay $5 each, that $20 can help someone
walk again
with a prosthetic device.
Which is wonderful.
Heather Mills, thanks very much.
You.
I really appreciate it, and congratulations.
Thank you.
8:39, up next, designer Kenneth Cole with his new spring line. But first, on a Monday morning, this is Today on NBC.
Behind in the polls, Mark Early's launched false attacks on Mark Warner. The press says Early's taken the low road. His attacks are absurd, repulsive, ugly. Early's claims about Mark Warner are dead wrong. Fabrication, a smear. They insult voters. It's typical old-style politics. Mark Early, no positive plan. Negative ads that don't tell the truth. Virginia deserves better.
The CR-V from Honda. It'll take you to the mountains. It'll take you to the beaches. It'll take you to the desert. It'll take you just about anywhere. But it won't take you to the cleaners. The CR-V from Honda. While supplies last, get special APR financing as low as 3.9% for 36 months on 2001 CR-Vs.
Most people don't mean to be hurtful, but when you're really overweight, you hear all the comments. So you learn to build a wall around yourself to block out what you don't want to hear. Then I overheard someone talking about Jenny Craig, and I'm glad I listened.
There's never been a better time to join Jenny Craig with their personalized one-on-one counseling. And now, for a limited time, lose 20 pounds for $20 plus the cost of food. Call 1-800-JENNY20.
I was at a party recently, and I overheard this woman say, she looks absolutely beautiful. And you know what? She was talking about me.
Today, cable companies like AT&T control over 70% of high-speed internet connections because they compete under different rules than phone companies. Unless Congress acts, millions will be left behind or with only one choice, their cable company. Now a study says a delay in high-speed internet rollout could cost our economy $500 billion. Tozan Dingle guarantees access to inner cities and small towns and would add billions to our economy. Don't believe the static from AT&T. Pass Tozan Dingle.
This morning on Today's Style Fashion Week, twice a year the world's biggest designers descend upon New York City to unveil the next season's newest looks to the international media. This year, for the first time, one of the events is taking place right outside our studio here in Rockefeller Plaza. In just a few minutes, designer Kenneth Cole will reveal his spring 2002 lines. Not too shabby for a guy who started out in a much more humble setting. It was 1982 when Kenneth Cole sold his first pair of shoes out of the back of a friend's truck in New York City. Since then, his brand has grown into one of the most recognizable and popular around. Along the way, he's also become well known for his social advocacy and witty marketing, with campaigns from fighting homelessness to getting out the vote and preventing the spread of AIDS.
AIDS is something that then, as today, we don't know how to cure it, but we know how to contain it. So then one comes to the conclusion, well, if we can just tell people how to do that, and essentially that's what you do with advertising and marketing.
This year, Kenneth Cole's seasonal charity will focus on gun control and safety. Today's Fashion Week show will even kick off with an animated spoof of The Sopranos called A Life Without Guns.
And then I was at this fashion show, or maybe it was a funeral, I don't know.
Everyone was wearing black, and they were all kissing each other. But not really kissing, like air kissing. And after that, I woke up. So what do you think, Doc? Some messed up nightmare, huh?
I don't know, Tony. Solving your problems with brains rather than with brawn. Talking out your differences. A life without violence. A life without guns. That sounds more like a dream to me.
Kenneth Cole, good morning. Nice to see you. So you're taking on gun control. Why that?
It's just such a compelling moment right now. Last week, 2 people were killed from sharks. It was on the cover of every newspaper in the country. 250 people were killed by guns, and no one talked about it. And it's become such an unfortunate reality about our culture today. And what we do is we advocate. And, we're not vigilantes. We don't go knocking on doors. We don't tell people what they should do. But this is a great opportunity for us to talk about it. And, people... it's just about controls. There's more controls on federal regulations on teddy bears than there are on handguns. So people say, well, the Second Amendment says I can do this. We say the First Amendment tells you that we can tell you how we feel about it. So that's just so great. And in the past, this is a forum to talk about what we wear on the outside. But we say fashion is about the whole person. It's who you are on the inside as well as what you wear on the outside.
Why is it so important for you to take up social causes? I mean, obviously the fashion industry, I think in general, has gotten much more socially active, committing themselves to the fight against breast cancer and all sorts of other causes. But you've been doing this a long time, and your causes, frankly, are much more controversial. Do you worry about alienating customers or stockholders or anybody else as you make your political statements?
I don't think so, Katie. I think at the end of the day, people respect us for having the conviction to do it. And I know that a lot of people don't agree with what we have to say, and I know we're not going to change that many people's minds. But the fact that we have the conviction and we're prepared to speak to the whole person, I think elevates our message. And it's not, fashion sometimes is construed to be frivolous, but it isn't. Fashion is where we are as a person at any given point in time. And where we are is a reflection of what's happening around us. So this is a chance for us to talk about it.
You're married to Maria Cuomo, who is Mario Cuomo's very democratic, Mario Cuomo's daughter. So obviously your causes tend to be more democratic ones. Have you ever thought about running for office yourself, or?
First, that's circumstantial. I mean, we're not political. I mean, our messages are very social, and they tend to be aligned with where most Democrats are coming from. But this is better than being in the public. I'm in the public light. I can advocate. There's no public scrutiny. I can tell you how I feel as long as I'm responsible in the way I present my arguments. And I have this forum without having to run for office. And I wish all those people tomorrow in New York the best of luck. But this is a great thing. So I don't see this is better.
Let's talk about the other reason you're here, not only for your message, but for your clothes and for fashion. We're behind the scenes right now, the fashion show. It's a little chaotic back here. How nuts does it get?
It gets nuts. We work, it's a frenzy. We work for 6 months for these 20 minutes.
Right.
And it's over. So, but it's all about this message. And hopefully this fashion message and social message survive those 20 minutes.
Rope, you can get a shot of all the chaos. And so maybe I think actually Rope's camera just went down. So, but we got a little bit of the nutsy stuff that's going on. I mean, is it hard to get these models changed? How many changes do they have?
They all have 2 or 3 changes.
That's tough.
And it is hard. It's hard because the whole thing happens in 20 minutes. And it's here and then it's gone. And it's perfectly orchestrated because you can't miss that moment. This is the chance I get to tell my story, and it's unedited by the press, it's unedited by merchants, and so it's very cohesive and a lot of time and effort, and everybody's up all night, every night working on this.
This is spring fashions, and obviously it's a long way from spring, but this is when most of the buyers across the country, really all over the place, are actually purchasing things that they're going to sell for spring. But is it hard for you to, I mean, it's not even gotten chilly. You don't really have the crisp fall weather yet. Is it hard for you to get into the spring mode?
No, I'm there. You know what it is, you get, especially in this business, you get tired of spring clothes. You get tired of fall clothes quickly, and then you get tired of spring clothes quickly. But this is great, and I love it. And I'll tell you real quickly what we're doing next season. It's kind of this free spirit, bohemian-esque approach to dressing, and it's hard and soft pieces, big hard belts, hard shoes, and soft clothes, and soft tunic dresses, and soft suedes. And
white shoes are in, I see, Ken.
White is great.
They used to be such a no-no, white shoes in general, of course, after Labor Day, particularly. But now?
No, now there's no rules.
Yeah.
There's no rules. It's great.
Well, everything looks very
comfortable.
comfortable.
And it's a lot of very zen-like, and karate and yoga type dressing pieces that mix and match with traditional pieces.
Well, they look like fun, and as I said, they look comfortable. Thank you, guys. I know you've got a busy morning ahead on the runway, so I appreciate your stopping by, and thanks for chatting with us. Good luck with the show, and we're going to be showing folks a bit of the show a little bit later on.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks for picking our hood for your show.
It's great. But actually, the clear tent, it's open all the way to Fifth Avenue. So anybody on Fifth Avenue in the promenade could see the show live if you happen to be near.
Well, it's a little blurry, Kenneth, but oh, there you go. You can see it right there in those. Anyway,
but you
all
can
right.
see it all the way down. So,
it's a cool tent too.
And this is really, it's about them, because fashion has been a closed community. It's been a private fraternity, and it really needs to be available and accessible more so than it has been. So that's also what makes this such a great thing.
All right. Well, good luck, Kenneth, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, Katie.
We'll be back in a moment. This is Today on NBC.
November 29, 1999, Helms-Biden becomes law, promising the UN America's overdue bills will be paid if the UN makes changes. It does that and more, even naming an inspector general to cut waste. But we don't pay. Then the Senate votes to pay the bill, and the House too. Now, 2 years after Helms-Biden, congressional gridlock still stops payment. Before President Bush makes his first speech at the UN, Congress should honor our commitment and pay the UN bill. Great nations keep their word.
Ah, the great outdoors. Made even greater with all-wheel drive. A remarkably civilized ride. And better fuel economy than many SUVs. The Volvo Cross Country. It'll change how far you can go with all-wheel drive.
Tomorrow is primary day in Ohio, and one mayoral race there is attracting more than its usual share of media attention. NBC's Jim Avila explains.
You're watching WLWT-TV, Channel 5, Cincinnati.
The made-for-TV mayor's race, Cincinnati's most popular television station, and now the launching pad for the two leading candidates for mayor of America's 23rd largest city. The popular incumbent mayor, 50-year-old Charlie Lucan, now in his second go-round at City Hall. Mayor in the 80s, then anchorman, then quitting to run again 2 years ago. He says the familiarity earned at the anchor desk helps during the campaign.
People get to know you like you're a real person, not like you're somebody on TV, and they feel like they know you. And I think TV, the news business, helps you get that rapport with folks.
I admire you so much.
Well, I admire you.
But now Lucan is challenged by another anchorman, 44-year-old Curtis Fuller, who sat at the same desk the mayor did, only more recently. In fact, they even anchored together on occasion. But for Fuller, reporting on the news was no longer enough. He wants to have a more direct effect.
I've been really trying to say to people, empower yourself to change this city. And you have to get involved, just like I did. I mean, I had to be an example to say to people, step into this and try to change it.
Of course, this is not the first time the worlds of politics and journalism have mixed in Cincinnati. The most famous former Cincinnati mayor is Jerry Springer, who was both a TV anchor and now a national talk show host. Springer says the challenger has a more difficult road as an anchorman with no political experience. Like the current mayor, Springer was politician first, then reporter.
By reporting the news every day, you may not have that vision. You're more interested in what's the good headline, how do I make this story very understandable. It's a different skill. So I'm not saying that someone who's been a news anchor couldn't be a mayor, but nothing about being a news anchor necessarily prepares you for that.
It's become sort of an on-air joke at the TV station.
Polls open at 6:30 in the morning, close at 7:30 Tuesday night. The top two candidates
move on to the November 6th ballot. And at this hour, we're happy to report no additional Channel 5 anchors have entered the race, but we've got some time left here, don't we?
We get that question a lot, don't we?
But beyond the novelty, this is the most important election Cincinnati has seen in 75 years. The city changed its charter, giving the mayor more power. And for the first time, citizens cast votes directly for mayor. In the past, the city council candidate with the most votes was chosen to serve as mayor. So the current mayor is hammering at his former co-anchor's lack of experience.
I like him. I just don't think he has any idea what he's doing. But I think he's a very decent guy.
While Fuller points to the riots of this spring, caused by tension between police and the African-American community. He asks, if this is what experience leads to, who needs it?
If experience based on your politics would create change in this city, then we would not be in the shape that we're in today. As a city, we have to make the commitment.
Two men comfortable with words, now facing a primary election tomorrow that for these anchormen politicians becomes the ultimate ratings book. For today, Jim Avila, NBC News, Cincinnati.
Well, you should get in there. Throw your hat in the ring.
Yeah, right.
Have you ever thought of running for office?
I thought of running for dinner, but that's about it.
Done that a couple of times,
You
right?
betcha.
Too many skeletons in your closet, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to run for office these days. I think it takes somebody very brave to do that.
We're going to have more.
Not me.
Right after these messages in your local news.
Friday, today's concert series keeps the summer alive with the music of Macy Gray. Live, outside, and brought to you by the incredible Edible A. Only on Today.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, the search for a killer, Alzheimer's. What if there was a way to detect the disease years before symptoms appear? Would you take the test only to find out you may get it? Is there anything you can do now to help fight back? Important new information for every family. NBC Nightly News.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
Cloudy skies out there this morning, 5 minutes till 9, 75 degrees. We'll get the forecast in just a bit. Good morning. I'm Joe Krebs, and this Monday, the 10th day of September, 2001, in the News 4 Today. It has been 11 weeks now since a fuel spill at a local gas station forced a group of Southeast Washington residents from their homes. And they are still living in hotels and wondering when the city will decide their homes are safe. 13 families were ordered out and 3 others were asked to move near the BP Amoco station at 41st Street and Alabama Avenue Southeast. The Federal Emergency Management Agency will close one of its disaster recovery centers today and reduce the number of its workers in the district. Today, FEMA closes the center at the Harry Thomas Recreation Center in Northeast. However, the one at the Reeves Municipal Center in Northwest will remain open from 10 in the morning till 6 in the evening, Monday through Friday. The Arlington County leaders are angry that they have been left out of plans to expand Arlington National Cemetery. The Pentagon wants to take 2 parcels of land from the National Park Service. One is near the Iwo Jima Memorial. The other is near Arlington House, which is the centerpiece of the cemetery. The House of Representatives will take up the issue this week. And a new Washington Post poll says that a majority of voters in Northern Virginia support an increase in the sales tax to raise money for local transportation and education projects. We'll take a break now, come back and take a look at our forecast and the rush hour. Stay with us.
The Wolf has been linked to more than a dozen bombings in the last decade.
Talk to him. You cannot take the law into your own hands.
Thanks for your advice.
From the jungles of Colombia
What do you think of this place?
to the streets of Washington, no one can stop a killer except the man who knows his face. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Collateral Damage. Rated R. Starts Friday, October 5th at a theater near you.
With Weight Watchers, every food has a points value. And now every point works harder than ever. Introducing Winning Points, the way to stay satisfied. Eat what you like and still stay within your daily points range. So you stick with it and lose.
Now, take it off and show it off. Enter Weight Watchers Take It Off, Show It Off sweepstakes. Win a fabulous new $10,000 wardrobe.
Now's the time to join Weight Watchers. For pricing and location information, call 301-770-4115.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. Temperature here at Northwest, 76 degrees. Feels more like a midsummer morning. We got quite a bit of humidity hanging in the air with the low clouds around. And digital Doppler XT radar picking up some scattered light sprinkles in Prince George's County. It's moving off to the north. Some other sprinkles, northern Montgomery, southern Frederick, as well as southern Loudoun, western Fairfax, northern Prince William, eastern Fauquier. These are moving off to the northeast, western suburbs. Some light sprinkles here for the next couple of hours possible. And as we get into the afternoon, a greater chance of maybe some thunder showers popping up 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Highs today in the mid-80s. And we'll have a little bit of sun in and out in a humid day. But we have some cooler, drier, much more pleasant weather coming in starting tomorrow. Highs on Tuesday near 80, but only the mid-70s on Wednesday and Thursday. Mostly sunny, morning lows in the 50s. And it looks like this fine autumnal weather should be lasting all the way into the weekend. Now let's check on the traffic this Monday morning. How's it going, Jerry?
Tom, it has been a bit rocky. Good morning, everyone. Let's head out and see how we're doing at this hour. And here's the Beltway north of town, loaded up. Outer loop delays, I-95 to points west. An accident along the way on the outer loop at Colesville Road has been cleared. Tough trip over on 95. It's jammed most of the way from Springfield to the 14th Street Bridge due to an accident. Joe?
Okay, thanks. Coming up on News 4 at 10, how the icy relationship between Al Gore and Bill Clinton may be thawing out.
Next Monday, they've been lost in the Grand Canyon, cursed in Hawaii, and suffered a disfiguring broken nose. But NBC Next Monday, this group will face something much tougher.
Who's turning into a very Brady disaster?
For the first time in 20 years, the Brady Bunch returns to TV on Weakest Link.
Who's raining on your Sunshine Day?
The Battle of the Bradys on Weakest Link, NBC Next Monday at 8, 7 Central.
I'm never going to date you again.
Jim Handley and Pat Lawson Muse working for you on News 4 at 4.
The champion of...
I told you about those grunts. You're watching Venus Williams in action, a true goddess on the tennis court. She defeated her sister Serena and became the Women's U.S. Open champion for the second year in a row. That was a touching scene when they embraced, and she said, "I love you." And they talked a little bit after the match about how Venus talked about how hard it is to beat her little sister, because she obviously is the big sister. She wants to protect her and make sure she's okay. Meanwhile, Serena was like, "Cut it out. Stop it."
You're embarrassing me.
I know. It's really cute.
They are something, though.
They're a dynamic duo. Anyway, if you're wondering if your child has the athletic potential to follow in Venus or Serena's footsteps, or those of Michael Jordan's or any other famous athlete for that matter, we're going to have some tips on how you can judge that coming up in our next half hour. Meanwhile, back inside Studio 1A, I'm Katie Couric, along with Matt Lauer and Ann Curry. I was going to say Ann Roker. I'm sorry, Ann. Ann and Al got married over the weekend. Anyway, coming up in this half hour... Another story, they are called bully broads. They're top corporate executives who are perceived as overly aggressive. We're going to take a look at an innovative and pretty controversial new program that's designed to help them deal better with their colleagues. And then the results of a new study that contradicts a notion many of you have had for years, that the IUD is not a safe method of birth control.
Bad reputation, the IUD, but apparently this says not a problem.
That's right. Judith Reichman's going to be here to tell us all about that.
Also, Amy Tan will be here, the best-selling author of The Joy Luck Club. Will tell us about a children's animated TV show based on her book, Sagwa, the Chinese Siamese Cat. And a little later on, we're going to talk to the author of a new book on Alzheimer's disease called The Forgetting.
All right, but before we get to all of that, here is Al Curry with a check of the weather. Hi, Al.
Wow, it's going to get crowded tonight. Anyway, we got, folks, now who's this picture back? Oh, these are pictures back here. Who are all these pictures?
It's Timmy.
I'm 40 today. Oh, and they're all Timmy heads.
39.
All right, and where are you from?
We're from Florida, Land O'Lakes.
Who's Max and Nick?
These are our boys.
Oh, where are they? They're back home?
At home, in school.
With who?
Grandma, aunts.
People.
People.
You've got people taking care of the boys. All right, good. Let's check your weather, see what's going on. And you'll see for today, we got wet weather down in Florida. We got showers working their way through the Great Lakes, heading toward the east. Out west, gorgeous. Let's go underneath the clouds, show you all the sunshine. 81 in Portland today. Look for a high of 78 in Los Angeles. Some showers in the western Great Lakes, and heavy thunderstorms could develop in the afternoon along the eastern seaboard, along that cold front, as it brings cooler air and less humid air to the northeast and mid-Atlantic states. That's what's going going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
It is humid this Monday morning. Good morning, meteorologist Tom Curine. We have temperatures now in the mid-70s, and digital Doppler XT radar picking up some scattered light showers. Northern Prince George's County, western Fairfax, northern Prince William, and central Fauquier County, southern Loudoun into northern Montgomery. These are all traveling off to the northeast and will continue to just sort of travel through the metro area here for the next hour or so. A greater chance of some thunder showers this afternoon, then some cooler, drier weather coming in for the balance of the week.
Your husband looks like Matt Lauer. Okay, there you go. And your brother looks like me. Right, okay. Right. There you go. All right, let's head back inside to Katie.
All right, Al, thanks very much. Many of us have had bosses we wish we could fire, too strident, too aggressive, and in some cases just downright mean. But now a program in California's Silicon Valley is coaching bad bosses into becoming better. The twist, it's for women only. NBC's Shelley Smith has the story.
And then the powerful women. I'm a vice president of information technology. I own an interior landscape company. On the fast track.
I've just been appointed acting as a VP of sales.
Making lots of money. Still, these women must change their attitudes.
Basically, I think everybody's incompetent. When a person's an idiot, they're an idiot.
Or risk losing their jobs. In most cases, the directive comes right from the top.
I've been sent to reform school by my manager, and most of us have been sent here. It's okay.
It's called Bully Broads, a 2-year-old program in Silicon Valley designed to help intimidating female executives become nicer.
How many of you really think you are bully broads? Raise your hand.
61-year-old Jean Hollins is the founder of the Bully Broads program.
What is a bully broad?
Everybody recognizes it when they hear it. We have a primal reaction to the term. It's when women are over-aggressive.
Karen Klein was a Bully Broad poster child.
The past reviews that I've gotten is, here's another $50,000, you're doing a great job, go.
Karen runs the San Francisco office of a big public relations firm. She was sent to Jean after receiving a stinging review from her coworkers.
My impression of this was, it's not my problem. I'm performing. I'm delivering the results that you hired me to deliver. You didn't ask me to play nice. Karen was going to start costing me a lot of money and unhappy employees who were going to leave.
Sherry Benjamin is Karen's boss.
It was serious. It was either fix it or go.
In this age of collaboration, we have to have people that you can handle and who can handle you. We can't have people just being directive. The authoritarian dinosaur is gone.
But taming the corporate shrew costs money. $18,000 buys these women one-on-one executive coaching sessions, group therapy, and role-playing designed to simulate real office problems.
Now, how hard can this be? It is hardly brain surgery.
And like other self-help programs, the first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem.
What I tend to do is I don't speak up until things build up so much that I explode.
Jean's program is receiving rave reviews.
I'm very proud to give the President's Award to Jean Hollins,
including an award from the National Association of Women Business Owners, Silicon Valley chapter. She's written a new book called Same Game, Different Rules: How to Get Ahead Without Being a Bully Broad, Ice Queen, or Other Misunderstood. And her Bully Broads group is growing, with 45 converts so far.
Is there a double standard in the workplace?
Yes, absolutely. A man, in general, can slam his hand on the desk and get away with it. When a woman slams her hand on the desk, people get surprised.
These women are not bullies at all. These are women who are competent and action-oriented and results-oriented. They just don't fit the stereotypes that their employers think they ought to fit, and that's wrong.
Kim Gandy, president of the National Organization for Women, feels programs like this set women back years.
This sounds like almost like a submission training for women executives. I don't like it.
One of Jean's most controversial tips for female executives: cry.
The tears just come. Too many women worry that they are going to look too emotional for the job. Forget that. Just let them come.
And how about this advice? Wear pink and sprinkle your speech with ums.
What do you think is the first reason why people would be threatened by Cynthia? Did you notice how articulate she was? And for the stuttering person who doesn't know who he is or what he is, just that articulateness is going to threaten some people.
Does this touchy-feely stuff really work?
If you start applying it in the office situation, and I started doing it, it's kind of like, wow, this really works.
Karen Klein says the Bully Broads boot camp changed her life.
I've learned that I don't have to change dramatically, that there's like a volume control. And sometimes I just need to turn the volume down a little bit.
Today, she's winning points with her boss.
Without prompting, two of the people from her office said, "What's going right about our agency is Karen Klein." And that was gratifying.
And with her employees.
People feel like they can be themselves, and if they make a mistake, you know, they make a mistake, and it's not...
You're not going to bite their head off?
I'm not going to bite their head off. Not all the way off.
For today, Shelley Smith, NBC News, Mountain View, California.
And to read an excerpt from Jean Holland's book, Same Game, Different Rules, you can go to our website at today.msnbc.com. And still to come this morning on Today, how to tell if your child has the potential to become another Venus Williams or Mark McGuire. And up next, best-selling author Amy Tan on her latest project with her little Yorkie there. But first, these messages.
You'd try anything to get some relief from your nasal allergy symptoms. But before you change your life, make an easier change. Multi-Symptom Flonase relieves all these nasal allergy symptoms: sneezing, itchy, runny nose, and congestion. Flonase once a day relieves them all day and night. For best results, use daily. Side effects are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Ask your doctor about Multi-Symptom Flonase. When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
I do. That is horrible. And you and take you off of it. I do. I do.
People? Everyone? I do. Wait, what, I was gonna say no? I do. I do. I do. I do.
I do.
I do. Okay.
Good days start with Fruit of the Loom.
The Meal on the Go bar from Slim Fast. Balanced nutrition designed to help you manage your weight and your life.
Meet Mark. Mark marks. Mark's mom, Peg, pledges. Pledge removes marker marks. Pledge stops crayon marks. Pledge gets very high marks everywhere Mark marks. Pledge cleans, conditions, and protects from a world full of marks.
Just wanna say how I missed you all day. So I'm baking big old biscuits. They're the heart of the meal. My heart to yours.
Amy Tan took the Joy Luck Club to the big screen. Now the best-selling author has taken her children's book, The Chinese Siamese Cat, to the small screen. Sagwa, the Chinese Siamese Cat, can be seen weekdays on PBS, and Amy Tan can be seen right here, right now. Amy, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you.
How did this happen? How did you go? Did you have the idea to go to an animated series with this, or did they approach you?
George Doherty and David Wong of VFX Productions first came to me, and it was with the lure of a good Chinese meal, and I thought it was impossible. You know, But I figured, you know, why not enjoy a free meal? And this is what's come out of it a few years later.
Did you have an active involvement in the process? I mean, did you just turn over the book and say, okay, make me happy, or?
I would have been happy to do that, but they said, no, we really want you involved. And so we sat down and we created what's called our Bible for the series, what it really was about, focused on, and started writing story ideas, what the age group was, what the psychology was. So all along, I've been very much involved with this.
Well, tell me about the Bible. How would you describe it? What is it about? Who would it be for? What are the messages?
Well, there are 3 kittens, Sagwa, Dongwa, and Shigwa, and they're different ages, and they live in the house of the foolish magistrate, which is a mythical time in China. But we didn't want it to be simply about all the different things that go on in China, but experiences that children in those ages between especially 5 and 8 go through that are the early questions of moral and ethical decisions they have to make that are complicated by what the actions of their parents and friends and what those opinions are about.
Let's take a look at another clip, because this is one where Sagwa has a dilemma to face, where she's told to rid the palace of a rat.
Well, I was just, you know, going,
You were trying to steal food. I told you to leave.
Yeah, you did. That's right. I was just staying around to make you look good. Yeah, to make you look good, that's it.
What are you talking about?
Since you let me go, I thought I'd do you a favor by staying around. You know, so you can catch me over and over. Then everyone will think you're the best rat catcher in the entire village.
Best rat catcher?
Yeah! Think of all the treats you'll get when they see you catch me.
Sounds okay, I guess. I don't see the harm. Okay, let's try it. So where do we start?
Is it hard for you to write for children? Because when you write for adults, you can be more subtle in messages. With children, it has to be kind of black and white, doesn't it?
It is a different process. I do have to think, well, what are the possible interpretations of this? And if it's not a clear answer, at least say this is what we learned from this because of all these factors. But also to say to a child in life, this is only one possibility of what could have happened as well.
Have you had the opportunity to watch children watching the series?
I have. You know what? That's one of the most gratifying things. I watched a 3-year-old who was mesmerized and just stood there. And I also watched my 13-year-old, who was the one I read the story to in first draft when she was 4. And she's now 13, and she was watching it, and her dad kept saying, "It's time to go, it's time to go," and she was just standing there. And that, to me, is the greatest joy when you see a child that rapt.
And sometimes they catch their attention on the things you don't think they're going to catch their attention on.
I love watching to see what does capture their attention, and it is different with younger children. I used to work with young children in development, and to see where their imaginations are, what scares them, what intrigues them, what keeps their attention at different ages, and also to see adults and what they laugh at as well.
Well, Amy Tan, good to have you here. Good luck with this. It's called Sagwa, the Chinese Siamese Cat, and you can see it on PBS. Great having you back.
Thanks.
It's 15 past the hour. Up next, some important health advice for women after these messages.
Hospitality is being able to make guests feel at ease, and you can't teach that.
I'm CEO of my company. I'm also the sales manager, secretary, and mail clerk.
Business travelers are always on the move, and sometimes things don't go as planned.
Especially when you forget your plane tickets. And this was one meeting I just couldn't miss.
When people send you thank you cards, you know you're doing something right. Relax at Travelodge.
Hey, big party tonight? You want it to be cool, don't you? Yeah!
Do I know you?
This is the Jammy sister. Let's go to Pier 1. Guys love to eat off plates like these. Who's having a party? You're having a party. Sexy and sensible.
Hurry in and save 20 to 50% during our dining sale.
Sexy glasses.
The one-of-a-kind experience of Pier 1. Get in touch with your senses.
She's got my keen sense of adventure. She's got my natural grace. But I don't want Jenna to have scars like mine. I treat her cuts and scrapes with Neosporin.
Neosporin not only kills more strains of infectious bacteria, a clinical test shows that treating scrapes with Neosporin helps minimize the appearance of scars.
She's even got my classic beauty.
Prevent infection. Help minimize the appearance of scars. Use Neosporin. Every cut, every time.
Tropicana Pure Premium Grove Stand is made from only fresh oranges, never from concentrate. It's as close as you can get to the orange. Tropicana Pure Premium.
Here's where we invent cereals.
We wanted to make something that tasted like cinnamon raisin bread.
We take raisins and cinnamon.
Sweet oat bran. Got the cinnamon baked right into every cluster.
It smells good.
Post Cinecluster Raisin Bran, a breakfast bonanza.
Hey, that's new. Prego pasta bake sauce.
We're about to become a delicious oven-baked dish, my ziti sweetie.
We're not cooked!
Ah! New Prego pasta bake sauce is made specially for uncooked pasta. Just pour it on, add water, bake with cheese, and soon...
Wow!
We're an ooey gooey oven-baked family favorite. Oh, you look good enough to eat.
Stand in line, Tiger.
New Prego pasta bake sauce, the wow without the work.
Mounds and Almond Joy, because everybody needs a 5-minute vacation.
Clog got you bent out of shape? Get Drano Max. Drano Max removes clogs better than professional strength liquid plumber because it's thicker. Relax, you got Drano Max.
This morning on Today's Woman, the IUD, a whole generation of women and their doctors have viewed the intrauterine device as a contraceptive villain. But now, an article in the New England Journal of Medicine supported by 2 decades of research say that IUDs are in fact safe and effective. Today, medical contributor Dr. Judith Reichman is here to tell us more about this. Hi, Judith. How are you?
Good morning, Katie.
Well,
Good.
IUDs got a bad rap. I know. Say, what about 20 years ago when the whole Dalcon Shield controversy exploded?
Exactly. The Dalcon Shield was actually made to fit the uterine cavity. It was oval, and they thought we could use it in women who hadn't had their children, but they didn't realize that the string, the tail of the IUD, was multifilaments. So these filaments basically wicked or sucked bacteria from the vagina into the uterus and increased infection and what we call pelvic inflammatory disease. Some of these women got tubal infections, severe pain, infertility, and those who did conceive with the IUD in the uterus, some of them had infected miscarriages and even maternal deaths. So there was a huge brouhaha, and we sort of haven't forgotten it. And it stayed with us to this day.
Well, it's no wonder that a lot of women turned away from the IUD, but there were other IUDs back then, in addition to the Dalcon Shield, like a copper 7,
and
remember?
They were safe. They had a monofilament tail. The FDA stated they were safe, and it had this tail of safety and efficacy, and everyone ignored it. But the rest of the world went on to use IUDs, and today 100 million women in the world use IUDs. 18% of those using contraception in Scandinavia use IUDs, 60% in China. And there was some data that has shown by the WHO that IUDs are safe and that after 20 days there's no increase in chance of infection. And then recently we have this article in the New England Journal.
What did that show?
And that was in Mexico City, where they took about 1,900 women and 1,300 had infertility. The others were pregnant. None of them had had children before. And they did an x-ray of the uterine cavity and tubes in those who had problems conceiving. And they found out how many had blockage. Then they looked at who had used an IUD, how long, did they have complications, and they tested for chlamydia with antibodies. Chlamydia is a sexually transmitted disease. What they found is the women with IUDs had no increase in infertility or tubal blockage. The only one who had an increase in infertility and tubal blockage were women who had chlamydia, this sexually transmitted disease.
So this should make people women, in your view, feel more comfortable about choosing the IUD if they opt to do so.
Absolutely. The IUD itself does not cause an infection. Your partner does. And if you're in a safe sexual relationship, this is a good mode of contraception. It's the closest thing to sterilization, and yet it's reversible.
These IUDs are new and improved from the ones that were around in the 70s. Tell me about them.
Okay, well, this one is the copper one, the Paragard,
And it's good for 10 years. It sits in the uterus, and it is polyethylene with these little copper bands all around it. And what the copper does is it basically is toxic to the sperm, so the sperm can't fertilize the egg. This is the newest one out on the market, and I've put it here in what looks like a uterine cavity, so you can see how it fits up there like a T. And it has a progestin reservoir. This is good for 5 years. This progestin is very slowly released, and what it does is it makes the cervical mucus hostile, and it makes it so that the egg does not get released and fertilization cannot occur. But what's nice about this is it thins the lining, it decreases bleeding and cramping. So for those women who had bad periods and might not want to use the copper type of IUD.
Because that's been a big rap for the IUD, that it makes you crampier and makes your periods much heavier.
In about 5 to 15%, this has been the reason for removing it. In these patients, after the first 3 months, there may be some spotting, but after 3 months, actually the periods become lighter, and in a year, 20% of women don't get their periods.
And real quickly, if you do want to become pregnant after using an IUD, you just have it removed and it's no problem?
You just pull it out. You can get pregnant right away. It has no adverse effects on future fertility. It's great for women who don't want to take the pill, don't want the hassle of barrier contraception, and they're in a safe relationship, and they might want sterilization, but they don't want to commit, so they're going to get this.
All right, Judith Reichman with the latest on the IUD. Judith, thank you very much.
I'm IUD'd to be here.
Okay, we'll be back, but first your local news.
100-mile marathons. I wasn't always in this shape. After my son was born, I needed to lose weight. I lost 44 pounds on the Slim Fast plan.
That was 9 years ago.
And I've used Slim Fast ever since. I drink it every day.
I love it. I started training
and kept Slim Fast as part of my healthy diet. Food is fuel for me.
Slim Fast is balanced.
It has the vitamins I need, the nutrients, and calcium
for my bones.
Slim Fast helps keep me in top form.
Slim Fast every day. Get healthy.
Just wanna say how I missed you all day. So I'm baking big old biscuits. They're the heart of the meal. My heart to yours.
I tried to wait up for you last night, but I was just too tired.
I got out of the office last night at 11 o'clock. This case is a killer. Hey, what do you think? Are these pants too wrinkled?
No, they're fine.
You look good today. You ready? We gotta get out of here.
Well, aren't you gonna put anything on your feet?
Shoes.
I ask no more than this, a kiss to build a dream on.
Talbot's. It's a classic.
Operator, I'd like to make a collect call, please. First name Bob, last name is We Oughta Baby Eats a Boy.
Hello?
Collect call for Mr. Bob. We Oughta Baby Eats a Boy.
Sorry, wrong number.
Who's that, dear?
Bob. They had a baby. It's a boy.
Oh.
Don't cheat the phone company. Save money the legal way. Call Geico. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tired of struggling down glass after glass of powdered fiber for regularity? Consider refreshing glasses of water with FiberCon tablets. A whole lot easier to take.
And every bit as effective as powder.
FiberCon, refreshingly easier to take.
Now there's an anti-aging breakthrough that wasn't found in a lab. It was found in a plant. Introducing Almate-Kyneton. Different from AHAs and retinoids, it contains an ingredient derived from plants and helps reduce the signs of aging without irritation. It's hypoallergenic, it has UVA and UVB protection, and it works. Isn't it about time? Almay, the pure source for beautiful.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
Clouds above us here in the nation's capital on this Monday morning. Some rain on the way as well. Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, September 10th, 2001. I'm Barbara Harrison. A 63-year-old Baltimore County woman who was the second person in the state of Maryland to contract the West Nile virus has now died, but apparently not from the West Nile virus. She was admitted to Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center last month for an unrelated illness and died of causes unrelated to West Nile. Another West Nile victim, a 72-year-old man from Baltimore, remains in serious but stable condition at Sinai Hospital. Arlington County leaders are angry that they have been left out of plans to expand Arlington National Cemetery. The Pentagon wants to take 2 parcels of land from the National Park Service. One is near the Iwo Jima Memorial. The other is near Arlington House, which is the centerpiece for the cemetery. The House of Representatives will take up the issue this week. We'll be back with weather in just a moment. Stay with us.
Here's what we know about Marlowe's Labor Day sale.
It's big, really big.
Bigger than any department store furniture sale.
Bigger than any furniture store.
It's Marlowe's biggest holiday sale of the year.
With more furniture, better prices, and 1-year free financing.
But the biggest thing about this sale is...
it's big.
Really, really big.
The Labor Day sale at Marlowe.
It's the big one.
Ends Wednesday at 10 p.m. Don't miss it.
Marlowe, Washington's furniture superstore.
Being in business, I know you've got to have a plan to succeed. That's why, as a candidate for governor, I've offered a detailed action plan for Virginia's future. To improve education and transportation, create jobs, preserve open space, and protect our environment. We can do it with more effective management and real fiscal responsibility. To find out more, call or visit our website, because you deserve more than political promises. You deserve a plan and results. And that's what my campaign for governor is all about.
We have some scattered light showers. The western suburbs now, temperatures in the mid-70s. A greater chance of showers and thunder this afternoon, early this evening, highs in the mid-80s. Then some comfortably dry weather for the balance of the week. Jerry, how's our traffic now?
Tom, the inner loop of the Beltway still looking at delays, but the lanes are open getting through Bethesda to Silver Spring, and 95 still very tough headed north out of Newington with the lanes open. Barbara?
Thank you very much. Coming up at 10, we'll have all the news for you. Be sure to join us then.
The other half on the other half.
It's like these 4 guys talking about intimate issues.
My wife thinks that flirting is the same thing as infidelity.
If you're truly going to be in love, you're going to have to do the work.
The other half, a different kind of talk show.
Bring it in, fellas. There we go. Come on, hustle up now. Come on. Here we go. Oh, there you go. There you go. Hit the pad. Hit the pad. There we go. There we go.
For a fast appointment with a great doctor, call 202-877-DOCS.
Jackson Family News on Next Jackson Hollywood with behind the scenes of the Jackson Family Bash.
Plus, Keanu Reeves on the tragic loss of Aaliyah. Next, Access Hollywood.
Tonight at 7:30 on NBC4.
Night.
Fashion Week here in New York City. You're looking at a tent right here in Rockefeller Center where designer Kenneth Cole is showing his spring wardrobe 2002. And it's drawn quite a crowd early in the morning here in New York City. A lot of the other shows, the couture shows, are downtown at Bryant Park and even further downtown. But Kenneth has decided to come on uptown to Rock Center, and we're happy he did.
Because we can give you a live look at what he's presenting this season.
Plus, because Al's window looks right into the dressing area at his office. Anyway, inside the studio, I'm Matt Lauer, along with Ann Curry and Al Roker. Katie's leaving a little early today. She had some business to attend to. And coming up in this half hour, does your child have professional athletic potential? Millions of parents are constantly carpooling their kids from one practice to another or one game to another. In just a couple of minutes, we'll tell you how to recognize if your child has what it takes to make it big. Al?
Well, from kids to the older set, I'm going to be talking with the author of a new book called The Forgetting that gives us an in-depth look at the history of Alzheimer's disease. It's a condition that's being called an epidemic in this country. Yeah.
We're also going to take a look at why women experience severe hunger attacks during certain times of the month. And what to do about that coming up.
All right. Before we get to that, Mr. Roker, let's check the weather.
I'm working on my model look, though. Let's take a look, show you what's going on right now. Today, we've got some thunderstorms along the eastern seaboard, some showers in the western Great Lakes, sunshine in the southwest, and we look for partly cloudy skies in the Pacific Northwest, and again, heavy rain in central and southern Florida. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
It's more humid this morning. It feels more like a midsummer morning. Good morning, meteorologist Tom Curine. Temperatures in the mid-70s. We've had some scattered light sprinkles around, mainly the western suburbs this morning, and these continue to track off to the northeast. We have a greater chance for some thunder showers between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. today, and highs reaching the mid-80s. A little bit of sun in and out. And then some cooler, drier weather coming in starting tomorrow and lasting all the way into the weekend with afternoon highs in the mid-70s Wednesday, Thursday, and into the weekend. Morning lows in the 50s.
That's your latest weather. Now here's Matt.
All right, Al, thank you. Up next, Alzheimer's, a portrait of an epidemic, right after these messages.
The Heartburn Hotel. If you suffer persistent heartburn 2 days a week or more, despite diet change and treatment, it may be acid reflux disease. Prescription Prevacid can mean 24-hour relief from acid reflux disease. Prevacid turns off tiny pumps that produce acid. It has a low occurrence of side effects, such as diarrhea, abdominal pain, and nausea. Ask your doctor if Prevacid is right for you.
So leave your heartburn behind,
At Scott, we just made the best Scott towel ever.
With new wide ridges.
So we thought we'd take them to lunch to try them out.
They're great with chowder.
Super on slaw.
Ooh. See, only Scott has these unique ridges that absorb even faster than you-know-who.
From shrimp to sea bass.
A better Scott towel just makes more sense.
New Scott towels with wide ridges.
And when do we eat?
Okay, everybody's gonna be home tonight. I want to make dinner really good. And really filling. That value-size hamburger helper. That'd be perfect.
New Hamburger Helper Value Size. 50% bigger meals for even more home-cooked goodness, like hearty cheeseburger macaroni.
Honey, this is great.
Try all 4 value sizes. Hamburger Helper, helping you make a great meal tonight.
I was heading for the beginner's trail when it hit me. My sore muscles were telling me where to ride. Time to switch to Advil. It's strong enough to let me control the pain, even on Suicide Hill. Take Advil and take control.
When your eyes feel dry, gritty, irritated, protect them with Refresh brand eye drops. First, Refresh relieves dryness. Then Refresh forms a lasting shield of protection that keeps irritation out and moisture in. Refresh. It relieves and protects.
Sometimes you just need a little more.
Everyone's looking for that miracle cream. For me, it's my hair color. New Excellence Cream from L'Oreal. My non-drip cream just got better. Now it protects my hair non-stop, during coloring and afterward, with lots of extra conditioner. So whenever I color, my hair just looks richer, healthier. New Excellence, beautiful color, and no grays. I told you. It's the Miracle Cream. New Excellence from L'Oreal Paris. The color cream that protects non-stop, because you're worth it.
It's being called an epidemic. 4 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease. And unless a cure is found soon, that number is expected to quadruple by the middle of the next century. Now, though, nearly half of all Americans 85 and older suffer from it at a cost of more than $100 billion a year. David Schenk is the author of The Forgetting, Alzheimer's, Portrait of an Epidemic. Mr. Schenk, good to see you.
Good morning, Al.
This is, I mean, to look in this book, the human toll is just staggering.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It's time to start using that word epidemic. You know, in the 1970s, 500,000 Americans had Alzheimer's disease. That's a lot. Now it's 5 million, 10 times that amount. And the baby boomers are going to start getting it in about 10 years, which is, the number is going to explode much, much bigger.
Now, what accounts for the explosion?
Okay, it's longevity. It's the doubling of lifespan over the last century. Actually, senile dementia, as far as we can tell, goes back at the beginning of human times. There were references in ancient Greece and ancient Egypt, but only in the last couple of decades, with this tremendous growth in the elderly population, are we seeing the numbers explode the way they are.
And in fact, you talk about it going back in time. I mean, there were a number of fairly well-known people that people now think may have actually suffered from Alzheimer's.
It sure looks like it, right. People like Jonathan Swift, who not only wrote about senile dementia, but clearly had it in the last years of his life. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of the great minds of human history, actually had senile dementia for the last 15 years of his life, and his daughter had to trace the words for him as he was speaking his lectures in his final year, so he wouldn't repeat the phrases.
Now, how has society's perception of Alzheimer's changed? Because it went from something we didn't really know much about to now almost everybody either knows somebody who has it or has been touched by it in some way.
Right. Well, before it became a social epidemic, it was just regarded as an aspect of old age that happened. This is before we thought we might be able to do something about it. In Emerson's time, his son was actually a doctor, and there's no mention of ever trying to treat senile dementia. But now, of course, it's a disease. It's a disease because we think we can do something about it, and we're gonna really try. We have to.
And in fact, medical technology and research has progressed to the point where people are getting diagnosed so early that they actually know they have it. They find out about the diagnosis.
That's right.
And that's a big change, isn't it?
Brand new thing. Just the last 10 years or so, the diagnoses are so good, and they're happening at such a good early time. There's so much awareness now that there are millions of people who have Alzheimer's and know they have it and have to face the emotional burden of looking down the road and seeing what's going to happen to them.
I was wondering, in your research, did you find that in a way that's more of a burden? Because if you develop it later on before you know that you have it, now you know.
It's a tough call. I mean, on the one hand, you get to have conversations with your friends and your family and say, this is what I would like to do, and try to give them the support and, of course, get your papers straightened out. On the other hand, it's a horrible thing to know, an absolutely horrible thing to know that you're going to be facing this and that there's no cure.
And for caregivers, you talk about the fact that with Alzheimer's, it's the brain kind of deteriorating in reverse from the way it developed.
This is one of the things they've discovered very recently. For a long time, caregivers have noted that there are these childlike symptoms, behaviors in people with middle and late-stage Alzheimer's. But doctors now know that the brain is becoming unwired in exactly the reverse stage that children's brains are wired as, when they're very young.
So that a caregiver really has to look at the Alzheimer's patient in a way as a child, small child, or even a baby.
That's right. It can be very helpful. It sounds demeaning, of course, but it can be very helpful to anticipate what's going to be going on and how you can take care of this person in the later stages.
And at this point, how close? Is there any idea how close we are to a cure?
Well, I can tell you that for the first time in the last couple of years, scientists are starting to grin a little bit. You go to conferences, and they're really thinking that there might be some good treatments in the coming years. We don't know how soon, so we need to prepare for the worst.
All right, David Schenk, thanks so very much for that information. And if you'd like to read an excerpt from The Forgetting, you can log on to our website at today.msnbc.com. Up next, could your kid be heading for the sports stardom that the Williams sisters have achieved? First, this is Today on NBC.
Rosie's moving to a new time.
Isn't that great?
And she's a little excited.
Woo!
Everything's coming up Rosie. Weekdays at noon beginning today here on NBC4.
Thank you, everybody!
I've got a job now, and the DC Department of Human Services gave me what I needed. They gave me help with childcare, transportation, resume writing, dressing for success, and job placement right here in this hospital. Now I'm helping others, myself, and my family, all through the DC Department of Human Services.
Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. If you're a district resident looking for employment, call Answers Please at Info 211.
I'm glad I called. I'm happy, my kids are happy, and I am making a difference.
Why drive all over town to compare cars? Make one stop at CarMax and test drive an Accord, Taurus, and Camry.
We have nearly every make and model, 10 times more cars than the average dealer, so you get the car you want. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
Why do warehouse clubs and superstores offer the lowest prices? Because they sell in volume. CarMax, the auto superstore, has up to 10 times more cars than the average dealer, so we can afford to offer below Blue Book prices. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
I began my training more than 23 years ago in Italy, and I know authentic Italian food inside and out. But creating new pasta dishes, that's my passion. But with the right ingredients, anything's possible. One thing I would never change is my pasta. It must be pasta Barilla, always al dente. Never clumpy or sticky, firm yet tender. Perfect every time, every dish.
Barilla, Italy's #1 pasta. Always al dente, always perfect.
Hi, I'm Ananda Lewis, and my first show is all about new beginnings. It's about the best moments in your life.
Will you marry me?
And making your own dreams come true. On the premiere of The Ananda Lewis Show.
Today at 3 here on NBC4.
Is brought to you by Little Debbie, America's #1 snack cake. Pick up a box for your family and unwrap a smile today.
This morning on Today's Family, your child's athletic potential. Some families' lives are completely taken over by a cycle of practices and tournaments in hopes that their child will become the next Michael Jordan or Venus Williams. But how do you really know if that child has what it takes? Joel Fish, director of the Center for Sports Psychology in Philadelphia, has some guidelines on that. Joel, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, we should talk about this. Is tough to narrow down because sometimes we're talking about the child's abilities, sometimes we're talking about the parents' ambitions for their child.
It's human nature, Matt, that parents want their kids to be the best. But sometimes it's very easy for parents to see their kids through rose-colored glasses or have blind spots to the reality of what their talent is really like.
And for the sake of this segment, we're not talking about a child who could become good at a sport. We're talking about looking for exceptional talent and what to do with that.
Exactly. And again, I think sometimes parents want to see exceptional talent in their kid, and it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I have a lot invested in my daughter or son being Venus Williams, he can hit 9 balls into the net, and if he hits the 10th one over, you say, you see, he's got potential. So if you want to see it as a parent, sometimes you can find it.
And kids with true talent, exceptional talent, it can be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it gives them great self-esteem, but God forbid they don't live up to their potential.
I spoke to someone the other day who was 60 years old. He said, Joe, I just don't feel like I've amounted to much, and I hear this all the time. Because he had had Olympic potential, felt like he never lived up to it, and has been carrying what he described as a ball and chain around his neck for years because people were always expecting more of him than he was able to deliver.
Let's say you have an 8-year-old up to, say, a 12, 13-year-old, and you think that child, again, if you try and be rational and be honest with yourself, you think that child has exceptional talent. How do you go about making sure that it's true?
Well, first, I think you need to get a second opinion. I think you need
to
talk to a coach, someone who's played with your child, a family friend, someone who knows your child real well. Get some more information about what talent is. Is 12 seconds running a 100-yard dash fast for a 12-year-old? Most people don't know. Sometimes when we find the facts, that can be helpful too.
But sometimes, and we hate to say this happens very often, but sometimes your child's coach may not be the best source of information.
Sometimes. I think most coaches are very well intentioned, but sometimes coaches have a lot invested in stringing you along. Maybe they want to recruit you for a team. Maybe they're trying to get the best players for their team. Maybe they want more money. If I say to you, you have great skating potential, you should take skating lessons 5 times a week, that can mean more money for the coach. So we want to get a second opinion, sometimes from the coach, but from an objective source also.
Don't parents also have to ask themselves the question, how much can the child learn in terms of the sport, and how much is God-given?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think Venus Williams is a 1 in a million talent and a 1 in a million personality. I see parents fall into the trap all the time saying, if I give my child golf clubs at the age of 2 years old, he's going to be the next Tiger Woods. Chances are my son, your son, even if we gave him those golf clubs, isn't going to be Tiger Woods. Parents want to help kids set dreams, but have to be realistic also.
What about parents who push their child? Even though we've all seen situations like this, the child clearly has less interest in pursuing the sport than the parent does.
Well, the child needs to be showing up to practice every day, at least 51%, because he or she wants to do it. And if the child is showing up because he should do it, because people think he's big or strong or she's big and strong, he should be a basketball player, at some point it doesn't work. The child burns out, isn't having fun, and it just goes down the wrong road.
So in other words, that situation you just mentioned, you have a kid who's 12 years old and he's 6'1". A lot of people immediately say, you've got to get this kid on the basketball court.
It happens all the time. If kids are fast, if they're well coordinated, we assume that they should be channeled into a certain way, and most of us make those comments very casually. Sometimes that can be a ball and chain for a kid too, because he feels like he has to do things. He must, he ought to, and if it's not coming from the inside, at some point it doesn't work.
Let's say you do your homework, you're a parent, and you find out that yes, your child has exceptional skills in a particular sport. What's a healthy kind of breakup of time that child should be spending dealing with that sport versus other activities, socialization with peers, that sort of thing?
I really think it depends on the kid. There's some kids who have athletic potential 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, more the better. But sometimes parents fall into the trap, the more the better. And they start specializing their kid in sport too soon. They start putting more time and money and energy into it than the kid is ready for. More isn't always the better. There's a lot of evidence to say a balanced approach. Develop a well-rounded personality. Have your kids play 2 or 3 sports is still the way to go.
You mentioned money. I mean, a lot of families, they'll literally hawk things, and they'll do anything they can to get the money to put their kids through this kind of training, and if it doesn't work out in the end, that can cause some real problems.
Well, I always tell parents they have choices. Just because your kid has athletic potential doesn't mean you have to mortgage your house. I think parents have choices, and they want to do what's best for their kid. They want to check out, first of all, what their kid's most interested in, because the child has to be interested in it. Is the child ready socially? to meet new friends and maybe switch environments where they live? Is the child ready physically for extra training? Emotionally, can the child handle the extra stress of competition?
What about siblings? If you have one kid who's a standout, don't ignore the other children.
I had a skating mom who said, look, you know, my daughter was told she has Olympic potential, skating potential, but my younger child keeps complaining that he's being dragged around every weekend. It didn't make sense for that family, and for that child, rather than that child moving away, they found sort of a middle road way to give the child the resources to improve, but not necessarily damage the rest of the family too.
You have to remember that for 99.9% of these kids, it's just a game.
It's just a game, and the parents have to be the ones that keep reminding their kids, and no matter what the kid's ability is, communicate love and respect. No matter what a child's ability is, that's what the kid needs to hear.
Joel Fish. Joel, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
47 past the hour. Here's Ann.
All right, Matt, thank you. You're busily working away when suddenly it hits you, hunger. After that, all your concentration is gone until you get that food fix. But what causes this overwhelming sensation, and why do women seem to feel it more than men? You can find the answers to these and other gnawing questions in this month's issue of Self magazine. And Lucy Danziger is the editor-in-chief. Good morning, Lucy.
Thanks for having me.
It seems to me that women have so many women anyway, have such an unhealthy relationship with food. We don't eat, you know, we forget to eat maybe because of kids, or we don't eat to diet, and then we eat everything in sight. And there's a physiological reason for this, especially during that time of the month.
Well, a few days before you're menstruating, you do get a surge of progesterone, which will drive you to be a little more hungry and actually burn a few more calories. So you can eat then. The point is to control your hunger and not have hunger control you.
In other words, know to eat, be able to sort of control it so you can eat what's really good for you.
Exactly.
But part of the other issue, too, is that there are psychological reasons why. There are psychological cues to our hunger. Isn't that true? In other words, we go to the theater, we want popcorn. It's not because we're hungry.
We never recommend skipping a meal in general, but if you're not sure your own physical hunger cues, you can skip a meal and find out, is your stomach grumbling? Are you irritable? Do you have headaches? Get to know your cues and then work with them. And don't just eat because you smell buttered popcorn or a bakery and you smell fresh bread. Eat because you're actually hungry.
In fact, one of the things you are also recommending is that not just to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but also to have a mid-morning snack and a mid-afternoon snack. We're talking about small meals. For example, breakfast. Take a look. This is something a lot more nutritious than probably most of us have for breakfast.
Well, someone will say they eat breakfast, but they still get hungry right afterwards. And the reason is they're eating a sugary cereal or a plain bagel, those simple carbohydrates, which will cause a sugar surge in the bloodstream and then a drop-off. So we're saying use complex carbohydrates like oatmeal or even perhaps some protein like eggs. And go ahead, have milk, have juice, fill up for breakfast. It'll take you all the way to lunch.
But when you say fill up, though, we're still not talking about a huge breakfast. We're still talking about a fist size or maybe a little bit bigger size amount of food, right?
Approximately 400 calories.
Right, so okay, there you go. And then by mid-morning, you're suggesting having a little something, especially if you're going to head towards a workout.
Right.
A lot of people work out without eating.
Women will have a bad workout day and they won't understand why they're feeling so low energy, and oftentimes it's because they haven't eaten for a long time. So before you go work out, it sounds like you're adding calories to subtract them, but actually you're going to burn more and have a better workout if you have a little snack. Pita bread with a little teeny bit of peanut butter on it, or an energy bar, or even just a piece of fruit will do it.
You like these, by the way? I mean, are these loaded, though, with maybe stuff we don't want to have, or
I
do you think
that
they're a good idea?
It depends on the woman. For some women, that protein is a little heavy and they'd rather have fruit. But for some women, it's just what they need.
Okay, so fruit is also an option. Also, if you're somebody who really requires snacks, and a lot of us do, there are good snacks and, or actually, okay snacks and much better for you snacks. Give us an example.
Well, everyone turns to pretzels. They've heard pretzels is low fat, so let's eat some pretzels. The truth is, a serving of pretzels is very small. As you see here, we have one serving. Whereas if you ate unbuttered popcorn, you're going to fill up, you're going to feel a lot fuller for longer, and it's also low fat.
You're saying that instead of eating that, you can eat this entire bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, now, and also, a lot of people go for the sugary drinks when they're feeling low energy. I mean, this is something a lot of people reach for. Instead of this,
That's right. Well, obviously, if it's sugar-packed, it's going to have that same effect, to shoot your blood sugar up, and it's not going to last for long. It's a quick fix, but a glass of milk gives you a lot more nutrients and protein, and it'll keep you fuller longer.
Okay, and then also, ice cream at night, the entire pint sometimes happens in our family.
Which is too bad.
Right, which is really something I don't want to admit to. But instead of that, you have another recommendation.
It's all about eating smart. Everyone gets hungry, and the point is, if you eat a little bit of ice cream, you will feel full, but it's at the expense of a lot of fat. So if you take a low-fat yogurt, make it into a smoothie with some fruit, you're going to get a lot fuller for longer, and you're going to get all that nutrient without all the fat.
It sounds like what you're saying is the bottom line is that if you maintain your energy flow by having small meals and snacks to maintain your level, you have less chance that you're going to have a craving for something that you cannot control. That's what sounds like you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, when I get hungry, and a lot of women feel this way, you don't so much hear your stomach rumbling as you start to get irritable. And it's that cortisol, and it's that stress hormone. It's the fight or flight. Sends me straight to the vending machine.
All right,
wrong idea.
Fight or flight. Here are two guys who don't do it very often. Well, thank you, Lucy Denziger.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That about does it for us on a Monday morning. Coming up tomorrow, the chairman has left the building. We're going to talk about the highs and lows of Jack Welch's 20-year career as the CEO of our parent company, GE, and we'll talk about his new book as well. It's all coming up tomorrow. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
At that moment, Katie, I just kept saying, this is not real, this is not real.
A few days of sitting in an empty cell.
When people just, for whatever reason, snap.
Faithful sacrifice.
You can look me in the eye and say that you are a president committed to clean.
Morning once again, everybody. Today is a make or break.
Only on today. Man, that's television.
The summer's over. It's time to go back to work. A new season is coming. Are you ready? We'll be ready. The new season starts Monday, September 17th on NBC.
I'm Barbara Harrison. My Wednesday's Child reports have helped hundreds of local children find loving adoptive homes. And now you can help too with just a few simple steps. Join the Freddie Mac Foundation and NBC4 for the 12th annual Wednesday's Child 5K race for adoption. It's on Sunday, September 16th. Come run or walk to show your support for the thousands of local foster children still waiting to be adopted. Registration is free and there are great prizes. Log on to NBC4.com for more information. And thank you.
Time is money. If your business or association makes more than $2,000 a year in gross receipts, you must have a DC Master Business License. Getting one is easy at the district's new online business resource center. Learn how to start up a business and even save time, renewing all your company's licenses from the comfort of your keyboard. Take care of business with a click. Log on to brc.dc.gov and link to the Master License Program.
The District of Columbia, a city of access leading the way to serve you.
Cerebral palsy, brain damage alert. A medical mistake may have caused your child cerebral palsy or brain damage, or lead paint may be to blame. Your child may have a right to lifetime care. Find out free. Call the Spectre Legal Team, 1-800-626-2100. Call now regardless of your child's age. No fees or expenses unless we get money for you. We've collected millions and millions for the injured. Call 1-800-626-2100, the voice of the victim.
You're watching NBC4, working for you. Live from the area's leading news station, this is News 4 at 10.
Cloudy out there this morning, this Monday morning, and some rain on the way. We'll be talking about that coming up. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to News 4 at 10. I'm Barbara Harris, and it's the 10th day of September, 2001.
Good morning to you. I'm Joe Krebs. Meteorologist Tom Kirine's here to tell us about the rain in our forecast. But first, in the news this morning, D.C. Mayor Anthony Williams responds to reports detailing problems in the city's child welfare system that are blamed for the deaths of dozens of children in the city.
The Redskins have a new quarterback and a new coach, but they got the regular season off to a terrible start. We'll have details of that.
Plus, we're going to hear from some Redskins fans on the morning after a humiliating defeat at the hands of San Diego.
Let's check on traffic, see how things are moving out there now with the rush hours just about behind us for this Monday morning. Here's Terry Edwards.
Good morning once again. The rush hour actually, for the most part, winding down. Still a couple of slow spots. We'll take a live look. Northbound 95, still looking at slow traffic between Newington and Springfield. Had a series of problems on 395 throughout the morning, all of which have been removed from traffic, so that is good news. And we'll take a peek north of town on the Beltway over here at Connecticut Avenue. There's no road work on the inner loop. However, we're told that there is construction on the outer loop of the Beltway, taking away a lane between 29 and Georgia. So the outer loop is a little backed up. We'll keep you updated. Barbara and Joe, back to you.
All right, thanks, Terry.
Thanks. Let's go to Tom Kieran now in Storm Center 4 and take a look at what kind of a day we're going to have. These clouds going to clear out, Tom?
Well, maybe briefly for a while. We're not going to see significant clearing till later on tonight because we have a weather front approaching, triggering some light sprinkles already around this morning. But boy, it is humid. It feels more like a mid-July morning than early September. 77 here in Northwest, and it is steamy humid. Digital Doppler XT radar picking up some light showers out in western Maryland, as well as the highlands of West Virginia coming into the central Shenandoah Valley. And closer to home here, we've had just a few sprinkles moving through the suburbs, western and northern suburbs now. And these continue to this one batch moving off to the northeast. And we'll settle down here, maybe get a little bit of sun out here over the next couple of hours. We're seeing a few breaks in the clouds here in southern Maryland. But this weather front now crossing the mountains will be in here 3 to 8 p.m. And that's when our greater threat of showers and thunder exists. And we'll talk about that. And yes, some much more pleasant weather coming our way. All the details in just a couple of minutes, Barbara and Joe.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
In the news this morning, we're getting more details on a gun battle this morning that ended a shooting spree in Sacramento, California. Police say the suspect, Joseph Ferguson, shot himself to death after wounding a California Highway Patrol officer and a bystander during a police chase. Ferguson was sought in the deaths of 5 people over the weekend, including his ex-girlfriend and 3 other former co-workers. The final victim was apparently a former boss. Police say he was killed after Ferguson held him and his wife hostage for more than 12 hours. Authorities say Ferguson was despondent over losing his girlfriend and getting suspended from his job as a security guard.
D.C. Mayor Anthony Williams says the federal government and not the city is to blame for mistakes that resulted in the deaths of a number of children. The issue was first brought to light by a news series in the Washington Post, and it says many of those deaths could have been prevented. News Force Chris Gordon reports.
Mayor Anthony Williams says the Washington Post investigation makes it look like the city failed to protect the children who died after being neglected and abused, when in fact the federal receivership is at fault.
Well, what we've been doing for 2 years is bringing a receivership back under the control of the government where we can coordinate things better, provide more money for this service than any mayor in the history of the city, hire Olivia Golden, who's got a national reputation, to focus attention and bring a turnaround to the effort.
People have got to understand this has been operating under a federal judge for years. So the headline that we see this morning, let's be clear where the responsibility lies. The city wants this responsibility.